across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
You are. Good evening and welcome to the Political Asylum right here on Talk. Stand by for 3 thrilling hours of news, views and topical debate. I'm your host, Kevin O'Sullivan, and I'll be with you all the way until 10 o'clock. It's your show too, so get involved, get on the phone and call me on 0344 499 1000, or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number, and I promise to play your message out. It is Tuesday, October the 14th. Here's what's coming up. Keir Starmer and Mr. Bean. Has anyone seen these two comedy characters in the same room? Can you spot the difference? After the excruciating scenes in Sharm el-Sheikh yesterday, do we have an awkward joke of a clown for a Prime Minister? 0344 499 1000. Sure, Donald Trump deliberately humiliated Britain's pathetic recogniser of Palestine, but a more competent operator than Starmer would not have made such a total dork laughing stock of himself. He's not a statesman, he's a disaster on the public stage, both world and domestic. The man is barely able to open his mouth without embarrassing this country. If his useless cabinet crew want to tell long-suffering Brits barefaced lies, fine, I suppose. If they think lying to the people is a great way to govern, which of course it isn't. But don't tell ridiculous porkies in the field of foreign affairs that are bound to get knocked down, like that absurd Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson pretending that Britain played a key role in achieving peace in the Middle East, when it's laughably clear that two-tiers pro-Palestine, anti-Israel band of fools played no part in bringing the war to an end whatsoever. Many of us felt ashamed when first America's ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, and then Netanyahu's Deputy Foreign Minister, Sharon Haskell, dismissed Miss Phillipson's ludicrous claims as the crock of crap they obviously were. Then Starmer sends Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper to Paris to project the illusion of involvement in some kind of international peace effort. What a nonsense. Britain didn't even have a bit part. 0344 499 1000. Meanwhile, still with lying, Starmer stands accused of pure fabrication in the government's insistence that National Security Advisor Jonathan Powell, who's he, had nothing to do with collapsing the Chinese spy trial. Naturally, Powell's number 2, Matthew Collins, is taking the flak for this Olympic-class balls-up. A classic case of deputy heads will roll. In other news, Nigel Farage is fury as the machine gun-tattooed Afghani migrant who threatened to kill him is sentenced to just 5 years. As the Reform leader said outside the court, this violent thug will probably be released in 18 months or so, and then some Guardian-reading left-wing immigration judge will doubtless let him remain in Britain on the grounds of his human rights. Do you get the feeling that the UK's soaring migrant crisis is becoming more dangerous by the day? I mean, dangerous to you, to me, to women, to children, to everyone in this country. 0344 499 1000. And why the hell was a councillor reported to the police for the alleged hate crime of declaring that she was born and bred in Falkirk in Scotland? Born and bred being apparently a racist thing to say. Honestly, this has got to stop, hasn't it? The police actually investigated this and concluded that there was no criminality involved. You don't say! It's madness, isn't it? 0344 499 1000. Also tonight, Reform UK's Mayor of Greater Lincolnshire, Dame Andrea Jenkins, joins me at 8 p.m. to talk through the big stories of the day and take your calls. Call Andrea on 0344 499 1000. She's ready to talk. Plus, the massive mystery of the missing little boy in Australia, angelic, blonde, curly-haired 4-year-old Gus Lamont, who vanished into thin air 2 weekends ago. 1 minute he was playing in the backyard of his grandparents' remote sheep ranch in the heart of the outback. The next, he was gone. Since then, a huge search has revealed just one tantalising clue. A single footprint matching little Gus's shoes found 500 yards from where he was last seen. What on earth happened to this kid? 03444991000. And finally, royal guru Kinsey Schofield on Meghan's latest apparent project to launch her semi-royal personage on the haute couture fashion scene. Good luck with that, Meg. What happened to the scam jam business, Duchess? All that and so much more, so don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Tuesday night together. And we've got a new regular on Tuesday. Really pleased about this as well. Welcome once again to barrister and political commentator Stephen Barrett. Welcome, Stephen.
Good evening, Kev. It's an absolute pleasure, always.
Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Now, we're going to kick off with, you saw the excruciating shenanigans going on in Sharm el-Sheikh yesterday where, you know, make no mistake, Donald Trump picked out the leaders, the world leaders, who he'd summoned to pay homage to him on his day of triumph. He deserved that, by the way. It was a strange sight, but he was enjoying himself. But he picked out the recognisers of Palestine and deliberately humiliated them. Macron, Carney of Canada, and of course our man Keir Starmer. And Starmer, you know, as I said in my monologue, a better operator on the world stage, on the public stage, would have managed to just about negotiate this. But of course, Starmer made a kind of comedic balls up of it. It was just excruciating. People roaring with laughter at this odd little man, you know, behind Trump, called to the stage, then Trump shoving him back. He did the same to Macron. But our man, I mean, it does bring into question, you know, is he really up to this job? You have to be able to perform in public. This guy is an awkward, embarrassing clown who half the time just humiliates this nation. Look at this, look at this. It's just pathetic. People were roaring with laughter all over the world. You see, so he thought he was going to make a speech then, and he just shoved him back. Look at that, it's just so bad. And it got worse. So what we've done, Stephen, we'll get your thoughts on all of this in a minute, but we've put together Starmer's show reel of humiliations, embarrassments. It's quite long. We've called it the Starmer Gaff Reel. Here he is, our Prime Minister, who answers to the name of Mr. Bean.
Call again for immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The return of the hostages.
Have you lost control of your MPs, Prime Minister? Will you rule out...
좀 오십시오. 예.
Okay. Not lost a game under the Labour government in 2024.
Is football coming home, Prime Minister?
It looks like it.
Well, welcome. And it's good that we had a long conversation on the phone. When you want, give me your hand there, pal. And we're the best of allies, maybe in the whole world. And we really need to continue to cooperate. And a lot we can talk about.
A document. This is sorry about that. This is it.
A very important document. A letter. He sent his best wishes and his regards, of course, but he also asked me to bear this letter and bring it to you. So can I present the letter from the King to you?
Thank you very much. A great, great gentleman.
That we do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies, but we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British. Of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
We've had free speech for a very, very long time in the United Kingdom, and it will last for a very, very long time. Well, no, I mean, certainly we wouldn't want to reach across US citizens, and we don't, and that's absolutely right. But in relation to free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history there. We risk becoming an island of strangers.
That man is not allowed in my pub. Get out of my pub. Go on. Get out of my pub.
A NATO country has just had to defend itself against Russian drones. Now, more than ever, we need our ambassador to Washington fully focused on this issue and liaising closely with America. Does the Prime Minister have full confidence in Peter Mandelson?
The ambassador has repeatedly expressed his deep regret for his association with him. He's right to do so. I have confidence in him, and he's playing an important role in the UK-US relationship. She has now referred herself to the independent advisor. That is the right thing to do. But I can be clear, I am very proud to sit alongside a Deputy Prime Minister who is building 1.5 million homes, who is bringing the biggest upgrade to workers' rights in a generation, and who's come from a working-class background to be Deputy Prime Minister of this country.
The thing is, Stephen, I mean, that's hilarious. It's ridiculous. This guy has no idea how to behave in public. And that is a bad trait for a Prime Minister of this country. Yesterday in Sharm el-Sheikh, people were laughing at him all over the world. And it was very funny, but it was kind of humiliating to be British yesterday, to see the way that he embarrassed himself, got embarrassed by the president, couldn't handle it. So we can laugh at this guy, and we saw him there. The Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner. I'm so proud to say, Peter Mandelson has my full confidence. Shaking hands with the Korean president's translator as opposed to the Korean president, and so on and so forth. That awful moment where he looked like a servant picking up the documents outside the White House. And my personal, I don't find it funny, I find it infuriating when J.D. Vance quite rightly said, well, we're very worried about freedom of speech in Britain, freedom of expression. And we're very proud of free speech. In Britain we've had free speech for a very, very long time. Shut up! You're sending people to jail for tweets! How dare you say this? So this guy, I think yesterday we reached peak embarrassment with this guy, and you've got to start asking questions. Is he up to this job? Is he really up to this job? He cannot perform in public. It's a joke, a sick joke.
Keir Starmer, our Prime Minister, is Alan Partridge without the natural charm or charisma of the character. So we are just doomed by this oddly weak and odd little man who may have all sorts of secrets that one hears gossip about, but honestly, the product we see is bad enough. I don't think there needs to be something hidden beneath the surface. This is pretty rubbish. And he is a product of a system that produced him. Okay, so let's be absolutely honest. The Blairite state took him as a relatively young man, and I do like to be quite kind to him. I like to flag that he was handsome, mostly because I once was handsome too, and I too have lost that.
I find that very difficult to believe, Stephen. I really do. I mean, I like having you on the show, but just don't come on and just tell lies like that.
But anyway, he is a product of that state. They took him, and they made him a KC. They probably made him a barrister, and then they shower gifts and praise upon him. His entire life, he's been elevated as the second coming of Blair, and well, he's just a pale imitation. I mean, you've got to give Blair some credit. He wouldn't behave like this. It was obviously humiliating, and in fact, I note that Tony Blair wasn't there, so he had the common sense to stay away.
Well, he was around, wasn't he? But he didn't get involved in that kind of clown show. He avoided the stage and everything. He was in the environment. A
lot of British tourists were in Sharm el-Sheikh yesterday, but I think that's all we need to say. But what I want to flag is that the President of the United States has done a remarkable job of singling out not liking our Prime Minister and criticising our government while making it incredibly clear that he likes us. And so if you take, probably this is the falling out equivalent of like when George W. Bush fell out with the French.
Yeah.
And he wanted French fries called freedom fries. And, you know, that there was no real separation between the French people and the French government. They were all in it together and they were all wrong.
Yeah.
This president, to his absolute credit, has made it unavoidably clear that he likes us.
Yeah.
So as far as I'm concerned, he can humiliate our Prime Minister as much as he wants.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, we'll talk about this after the break, but this government, you know, they've turned lying into an art form. I've never known a government like, I've seen a few governments, I've seen a few prime ministers in my overly long life. This is the worst one ever. I've never seen a prime minister and a cabinet who just lie. They just lie and they lie and they lie. In the past, it's been quite painful to see prime ministers as they circuitously try to skirt round the truth. But they always stopped at directly lying to the people. They were careful about that. It was part and parcel of the culture of politics, of British politics. Now we have a government, they just lie to us.
Keir Starmer could catch on fire in the House of Commons and would just deny it. I mean, it's just ridiculous. We've reached a point of absolute lying, and it's not sustainable. Of course, politics involves a certain degree of illusion and, you know, controlling issues. And even Churchill couldn't admit war secrets because they were operationally important to our safety during the Second World War. So he had to, from a certain point of view, lie. But this is beyond a joke. They just lie about everything. Apparently, I mean, the migrants are now all going to need A-level English. I mean, this is just rubbish. We know it's not going to happen. You're just lying. And there is this old quote about a Marxist Soviet state, which is that they lie, we know they lie, they know we know they lie, and then they carry on lying. And yet we're a democracy who appear to have accidentally become a Marxist dictatorship with the least impressive dictator anyone's ever seen. I mean, he's just rubbish.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's very sort of Eastern European socialist, Soviet sort of behaviour, where, you know, politicians directly lie to the people. The people know that they're lying, but they have to pretend that they're not lying. The difference being is we still have a vaguely free society here, so they lie to us. We know that they're lying to us, and unlike in Russia, we actually say so. And we call them out because their lies remind me of it, like kids who haven't done their homework. Sorry, sir, I missed the bus. You know, they're pathetic little schoolboy lies. They're ridiculous. And we'll talk about those after these messages. So stick around, Stephen, stick around, folks.
somebody with 17 convictions in Sweden. In 18 months' time, he will be in this country, living in a house of multiple occupancy or a hotel. He'll be free to walk the streets whilst his asylum claim is being judged. And the only reason we know about this guy is because somebody sent it to me on TikTok. And it makes me wonder, how many other Madapassers are there now in this country? Or will there be as the boats continue to cross the channel?
Where's the United Kingdom?
Behind you.
Where?
Oh, I'm here.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Still with barrister and political commentator Stephen Barrett, and very pleased to be with him. I am too. Let's talk, continue our lying narrative, Stephen, that this government just keep telling us porkies, staring the nation in the face and telling us porkies. As I said in my monologue, I could have thought of better ways of putting it, but if they want to go on TV and tell us stupid, barefaced lies, that we know are stupid, barefaced lies, fine, if they think that's a good way to govern this country. I mean, it's not fine, but, you know, we're used to it. Carry on if you must. But to go onto the world stage, to get involved in foreign affairs and start telling really, really silly lies that are immediately called out, that is a major international mistake, and it demeans this government, it demeans this country. I'm going to remind you of Bridget Phillipson, who currently identifies as our Education Secretary. She went on to Trevor Phillips' show on Sky News at the weekend and said this.
We have played a key role behind the scenes in shaping this. It's right that we do so because it's in all of our interest, including our own national interest, that we move to a lasting peace in the region.
Well, when you say behind the scenes, like what? I mean, it seems to everybody else in the world that this has been done by Trump and the Israelis and Hamas. What part did we play?
These are complex matters of diplomacy that we are involved in, but we do welcome and recognise the critical role that the American government played in moving us to this point.
Ooh, she tried very hard not to say the words Donald Trump there, didn't she? And also, she's quite clearly lying. We did not play any part in these peace negotiations, achieving peace in Gaza whatsoever, none whatsoever. And immediately she said that, ridiculous little woman, immediately she said that, Mike Huckabee, the American ambassador to Israel, tweeted, you know, I can assure you she is delusional. And she said he said she can thank Donald Trump in order to set the record straight. She can thank Donald Trump whenever she likes, which of course she'll never do, because she's a little socialist and she doesn't like Donald Trump. That's why she didn't mention him, even though he deserves the credit. So that is ridiculous. And then, immediately after Mike Huckabee had set the record straight, along comes Sharon Haskell, who's Netanyahu's deputy foreign minister. She said, unfortunately, I have to contradict Bridget Phillipson. I have to contradict her. She said, unfortunately, not only did, along the lines of, I paraphrase, not only did Britain have absolutely nothing to do with the negotiations or the peace deal, in fact, Britain set back the achievement of peace by months by recognising Palestine. Immediately shot down. So my point is, Stephen, look, if they want to get into this habit of lying to us on Sky News and Laura Kunsberg and all that, frankly, we're used to it. We just shrug our shoulders and go, oh, it's Starmer's gang, they're lying again. But don't do it on the world stage. Don't embarrass this nation like that. That was a real humiliation, wasn't it?
Yes, but I think that for them it's pathological. I don't think they know any other way. I think this is simply all that they will ever do. I genuinely think that we could set them on fire, and if it was against their political interests, they'd just say that they weren't on fire.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't see how, and because they're not really very well developed brains, despite quite a lot of education going into them. There's no real critical faculties there, and they just recite the mantras. And far worse for your listeners and viewers, because I have to watch all this on social media, far worse than the ones who are actually deemed good enough or clever enough to be ministers are the absolute rank and file,
Yeah.
Labour backbench MPs. I mean, there's one in Rochester who just recites nonsense. I mean, it's just not, and it's endless. It's, thank goodness Keir Starmer made the sun rise this morning. And it's just like, this is just absolute dross.
Yeah, Joe, have you come across that? I'll tell you the funniest one. He's blocked me, thank God, on Twitter. It's this sort of complete airhead called Mike Tapp. He is the Labour MP for Dover, right on the front line of the migrant crisis, and he's forever tweeting, yes, the migrant crisis is all but solved. Keir Starmer's incredible policies have really got to grips with the ongoing blah, blah, blah. We are defeating the I mean, excuse me, Mike, what planet are you on? It's bizarre. You're right. If we think that the quality of the cabinet ministers than the secretaries of state is low, have a look at some of the backbench MPs. I mean, it's lower than low. Also, on the subject of this government lying, they stand accused of pure fabrication in their insistence that the collapse of the Chinese spy trial had nothing to do with the government or its security advisor, Jonathan Powell. A bit like Tony Blair, one of those old guys who just won't go away. Jonathan Powell stands accused of making this trial collapse because he didn't want China to be characterised as an enemy of this state, and therefore these two no-marks kind of little minnows who were on trial for, or were going to be on trial for, minor spying, they got off the hook because the prosecution said they couldn't carry the case without saying China was our enemy. Anyway, the government say nothing to do with us, nothing to do with us. Strangely, and Jonathan Powell, nothing to do with Jonathan Powell. These are lies. These are lies as well. But hilariously, the finger of blame is now being pointed at Jonathan Powell's number two, his deputy, Matthew Collins, who apparently actually gave a witness statement, funnily enough, on this case to the Tory government back in December 23. So he's catching the flak for. So this is a classic case of deputy heads will roll. Poor Matthew, taking all the blame. It's pathetic.
Well, no doubt he'll get a peerage.
Yeah.
This is how this nonsense works. But the simple fact is that we have a government, because Tony Blair created this system, which used independence to stop accountability. Okay, I don't want to be too wordy, but there is a word called entrenchment. This is what they tried to do. They tried to redesign the British state, our nation, and how it functions in such a way that they could never lose an election, because even if they did, it didn't matter because power wasn't in Parliament. Yeah. And you will have noticed how quickly Ofcom stepped in to sanction Bridget Phillipson for lying to Trevor Phillips. No, you will have noticed crickets, because Ofcom is also captured, and we end up with these captured institutional powers. And this is what entrenchment is, and it doesn't really lead to a Marxist utopia. It tends to just lead to state collapse, because you need accountability, whether you vote Labour or vote Tory traditionally, and I think the traditional days are perhaps dying. But whether you did traditionally, if you lost the election, you let the other side govern how they wanted. That's what you did, because, you grew up learning that if you lost, you ran your race as hard as you could. And if you came second, you shook the hand of the guy who came first. That's what you did. That's what we were as a country. And we've lost all of this to this desperate control freakery. And it hasn't ended up as some sort of paradise. It's ended up as a total joke. I mean, they're just pathetic. I mean, these people are not respectable. And the China spy case, the idea that the government was not involved is beyond. Well, I made this point before about them. Either they were genuinely not involved, in which case they shouldn't be in government because they're not competent, or they were involved and they're lying, in which case they shouldn't be in government because they're lying. It doesn't matter to us which one it is. Yeah. They shouldn't be in government.
No, I don't think...
Kev, can I just flag, I'm really disappointed in Dan Jarvis, because I like to pick people on the left. I'm not of the left, and I like to pick people of the left that I respect. And I respected Dan Jarvis. He served this country in a very heroic way militarily. There's all sorts of special forces stuff, and just very
Army
impressive.
Officer,
But he went before Parliament, and as far as I'm concerned, he lied.
And those who know him well, he looked very uncomfortable, and those who know him well said that he looked excruciatingly uncomfortable. He did not appreciate going in to tell the lies of this government, but that's what he was sent in to do, and that's what it looks for all the world that he actually did do. But you say that the government had, and Jonathan Powell had nothing to do with it. But I'm afraid you're wrong, Stephen, because Bridget Phillipson said so on Sky News. Here she goes.
What I can say today, to be absolutely clear, is that he was not involved in the substance of the case and discussions around that, or the evidence connected to the case. I can give you that reassurance. He did not have those conversations around the substance or the evidence of the case. These are matters for the relevant authorities, the Crown Prosecution Service, and they date back to 2023.
Oh, God, it's pathetic, isn't it? It's pathetic.
It's risible. And the Director of Public Prosecutions, who has bought into this lie that he should be independent. I just want the word independent to die. I don't want a government independent of democracy. I don't want a government independent of voters. I don't want a government independent of journalists. Journalists perform a hugely important constitutional function. This myth of independence has just broken, but at least the DPP had the courage to send a letter saying that, effectively, in DPP language, they're lying.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, well, in the English language, they're lying. It's as simple as that. Let's go to break now, Stephen. When we come back, I'm not going to burden you with the Nigel Farage story today, because I've got Dame Andrea Jenkins on at 8 o'clock. I'm going to talk to her about this. But there is an extraordinary story involving a Reform UK councillor who was investigated for a hate crime. Now, we're used to hate crimes sort of beggaring belief. So absurd are they? But this one really takes the biscuit. Stay tuned to find out what it is, folks.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Still with barrister and political commentator Stephen Barrett. Stephen, this is the story of a Reform UK councillor up in Scotland in Falkirk. Her name is Claire Mackey-Brown. She went on to STV, Scottish Television, a couple of weeks ago and got into big trouble because she used that. I can't believe she said this on live television. I mean, it's heinous. It's so racist. She said that she was born and bred in Falkirk. That was the sum total of her crime. The police, she was reported for this fascistic racism to the police, and they actually did investigate her. They decided after some days that there was no criminality involved in the use of the phrase born and bred. I mean, you know, stop the world, I want to get off. This is absolutely insane. Now, to put this in, we're going to play a little interview in a minute. Put it in context. Falkirk, funnily enough, up there in Scotland, is right on the forefront of the asylum seeker crisis. They have a lot of asylum seekers there, and only, they've got a hotel there and everything, and only a couple of months ago, a few months ago, an Afghani asylum seeker who arrived on a small boat, crossed the channel illegally, was almost immediately billeted in a hotel in Falkirk. He got there and he immediately hit the streets, found a 15-year-old local vulnerable girl, took her behind the pub and viciously raped her. I say a couple of months ago, he was sentenced a few months ago to 12 years. He was furious. His defence was that he hadn't realised that in Britain we took rape so seriously. So once again, one of those stories about the cultural divide that makes the asylum seeker crisis so perturbing. Anyway, so Claire Mackey-Brown was talking about the fact that people in this local area are getting more and more worried, more and more feeling more and more unsafe. Anyway, here she is committing the most appalling hate crime, saying born and bred.
I think people don't want answers about the local white boy who's done this that you are unaware of.
Because it's not known. If I don't know about it, how am I supposed to have an opinion on it or be able to ask questions? I don't have an answer to that. I'm trying my hardest to bring community cohesion. I've been overwhelmed with the contacts I've had from people within Falkirk. And, you know, there is a true unrest, and it's scary. It's scary as a local resident, somebody who's born and bred here. I shouldn't have said that.
Well, yeah. Do you see why this is? People sometimes think that Reform are very much against having people here.
It just came out, just...
That's unfortunate for you, I guess, but ultimately, do you see why people who aren't from here, who have maybe made their home here, are annoyed when they hear an elected official say that people are born and bred here?
Yeah, thank you very much, STV interviewer. Go and find a new career. God's sake. I mean, Christ knows why she said, oh, I shouldn't have said that. It's perfectly valid for a local councillor to say, I am voicing the fears and the worries of the local community. I was born and bred here. And for some reason, she thought that was slightly contentious. It isn't. And it's certainly not a hate crime. What is going on that the police actually receive this? They should take that phone call and say, hang on, you want us to investigate that somebody said I was born and bred here. Thank you very much for your call. Go and get a life and put the phone down. Instead, they did investigate. I mean, what is going on, Stephen?
So I think you're right to absolutely just focus on the fact that she shouldn't. Why did she self-censor? Because she looks to me like somebody who's been conditioned by abusive people to believe that she's inherently wrong and that she said something bad. Now, I was born somewhere else and then bred somewhere else, but I would, if I represented that in southern Worcestershire, which I love, if I went back into southern Worcestershire and was some sort of political representative, I'd say I was raised here and I consider myself of Worcestershire. What on earth is wrong with that? Nobody denies that everybody else is allowed to have a sort of ethnic basis or a grounded basis. Our constitution requires people to be connected to the land. That's the whole point. The minute you get an MP who's actually from the local area, whatever the party is, you're more likely to win the seat because people like that. You know, people, and there's nothing wrong with that. That is part of our constitution. Scotland has gone slightly madder than the rest of the United Kingdom.
Yeah, and that's saying something, yeah.
And I think we need to highlight this. There is an obvious problem across the globe. Across the globe, something, and I don't even need to name what it is because I don't need to care, but something is trying to get a hate law in all of Western societies. Ireland suffered this. They actually had the guts in Southern Ireland to pull back and go, do you know what, this is so badly written it's not going to work. Scotland just said, this is so badly written that we love it. The Settlement of Union said that we should have one parliament in this country, and I think we should have one parliament making laws. We allowed Scotland to have independent criminal law to an extent, but I really wonder whether this, you know, the historic mistake, if you like, of allowing Scotland to have its own independent criminal law, coupled with the massive mistake of creating a county council called a parliament in Scotland, which is making criminal laws, is just blowing up at our face. Because look at them, they're all oppressed. And by the way, because of how legal regimes work, if there's a bad hate crime law in Scotland, it doesn't stop at the border.
Yeah,
it carries to all of us. We'll all be under it.
I don't believe there's any such thing as a good hate crime law. I don't think we should have them anywhere. They're a bad idea. And they lead to this kind of insanity, this absolute insanity. Let me put this out to the audience. Let me know what you think about this. Somebody says I was born and bred here and gets investigated by the police for a racist hate crime, for saying I was born and bred here. As Stephen says, you know, so sensitive as this ludicrous area become that she thought she'd said something wrong. I was born and bred here. I shouldn't have said this. Of course you should have said it. Why shouldn't you say it? Let me know what you think about this. But I think it is time that we had a crackdown with this. And I'd like the police to be more to show more common sense when it comes to this kind of stuff. Someone think, oh, we have to investigate because we received a report. We received a complaint. Well, if the complaint is somebody said they were born and bred here, and we say that's racist, the police should say, get out. You know, we're too busy for this kind of nonsense. Don't you think? 0344 499 1000. I'm just reading here, there's got a message from Steve in East Yorkshire saying that, you like this, Stephen, that the person who complained compiled a 22-page dossier on this appalling hate crime. As Steve in East Yorkshire says, what the hell did they write in 22 pages? And Steve is also suggesting that perhaps the complainant should be charged for wasting police time. I like that last suggestion. 22 pages! What did they put in that dossier?
Nonsense, because we are drowning in words, and you see how they hoisted us by our own petard. We're not racists, so we don't want to be racist. So we accept that racism is a moral evil, which it is. It's also particularly intellectually stupid. I always like to point that out. But it is a moral sin. Fine. Define it. What is it? And without a clear definition, they've been allowed to run round and pretend that all sorts of things are racist whenever it suits them. And this poor lady she's so inculcated in that. And it's a mechanism of control, by the way. Bad people who want to control you will never tell you what the rules are. They'll just tell you randomly that you're transgressing them. They'll just randomly get angry at you. In domestic situations, we call this coercive and controlling behaviour. But we now see this by government. You know, and it is to investigate her for what explain, and not only should the person who complained be done for wasting police time, but so should the officers. Officers, explain to me on what basis you wasted public money pursuing this investigation. Absolutely. Officers, explain to me what your rationality is, and don't do it in 22 pages. Do it on one, and be clear. And that's what we need to return to clarity. And it is my big message that we are drowning in words, and it's allowing bad people to abuse us. I think the devil is in the detail, and he's doing bad things in that detail.
I got a phone call from some little dork last night when I said that I didn't think that recognising Palestine was a good idea on Britain's part. He said, because I said that, that made me a racist and an Islamophobe.
These words mean nothing, and they're just used to scare and control. They're just made to, all he was trying to do was to scare you, to shut you up. And we're going to have to go back against these people. That's why I take great comfort in ladies of a certain age, because ladies of a certain age will not have this nonsense. They won't put up with it. And I think we've all just got to push back and go, nope, we're not racist and we're not having this nonsense anymore.
Here's to ladies of a certain age. And on that bombshell, let's go to break. See you in a minute, Stephen.
There was a real risk that what has happened, as I said, in around 50 Tory councils and 35, 40 Labour councils over the last decade would have happened in reform councils as well. So the problem at the moment for local councils is the vast majority of what they are delivering and their budget are social care. That is controlled by this Labour government and not by local councils. And so it is a great testament to them that they've managed to find the savings to plug the hole that this awful Labour government continue to leave in them.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with barrister and political commentator Stephen Barrett. Stephen, in another life, a couple of years ago, I used to present a TV show on talkTV here in London Bridge with Alex Phillips. We were a fantastic double act. We were Richard and Judy without the talent. But seriously, we did some decent stuff, actually. And this was an investigation for talkTV into hate preachers, the hate speech that unfolds to this day on a regular basis in mosques. This is anti-Semitic, kill the Jews, annihilate Israel type rhetoric. Have a look at this report and then we'll talk about what the Culture Secretary, Lisa Nandy, is proposing to do about this.
Allahu Akbar.
A sermon at the Redbridge Islamic Centre in Ilford. The speaker prays with his congregation in Arabic to curse the Jews and the children of Israel. talkTV had the recording translated twice independently. It's voiced by an actor.
O Allah, curse the Jews and the children of Israel. O Allah, curse the infidels and the polytheists. O Allah, break their words, shake their feet, disperse and tear apart their unity, and ruin their houses and destroy their homes.
And from London to Liverpool.
If the 2 billion just marched on Israel, it's all over. They spat in the direction of Israel, 2 billion, it's all over.
To Birmingham.
The stones will speak and say, "Oh Muslim, behind me there is a Yahudi, come and kill him."
Preachers at mosques across Britain have been filmed calling for victory for Hamas.
Oh God, heal our hearts regarding the usurping Jews and in every enemy of you and the Muslims. Oh God, limit their number, kill them indiscriminately, and do not leave any of them alive. Oh God, our Lord, disperse them, weaken their strength, shake the ground beneath their feet, and freeze the blood in their veins. Make them captive to the Muslims.
And stoking hatred against Jews and Israel with alarming anti-Semitic rhetoric.
O Revenger, revenge from the oppressive aggressor occupying Zionists. O Allah, shake the earth beneath them. O Allah, limit their number, kill them indiscriminately, and do not leave any of them alive.
Rhetoric that in some cases is as violent as that of Abu Hamza, the known hate preacher who delivered sermons at Finsbury Park Mosque before it was shut down and who was deported from the UK. In Greenwich, this speaker ended his prayers with calls for Allah to grant victory over the enemy. The Met said while it understands the footage raised concern in Greenwich, no offences had been committed there. Jewish groups, though, say that police aren't doing enough and are calling for prosecutions in some cases, warning that some of these sermons could lead not only to hate crime, but extremism and even terror.
There is no difference between the rhetoric in the Hamas Charter and the rhetoric that is on display in these videos. They are utterly hateful, they are violent, and they are a threat to both Jews and non-Jews in this country. There is a real risk of more than just one person being encouraged by this rhetoric to go out and take action on the streets. And we've seen how bad that can be in the past.
talkTV has confirmed that police are assessing video evidence from 4 of the 7 mosques we've highlighted. The Charities Commission is also examining some of the footage, as the majority are also linked to registered charities, meaning they receive taxpayers' money. In a statement, they said, "We are aware of a significant number of serious concerns, which largely concern allegations of anti-Semitic or hate speech. We're assessing them, and if there has been any wrongdoing, we'll take action." talkTV reached out to all of the mosques and figures featured in this report. Redbridge Islamic Centre declined to comment directly to us, but previously said it launched an immediate investigation and decided that the imam will not be allowed to address worshippers again until it's concluded. No other mosques responded.
A lengthy report there, Stephen, but worth showing again. Now, this was a couple of years ago. That was pretty much the last we ever heard of it. The police never arrested anyone. No one was ever charged. The mosques, we're pretty certain, did nothing about it. Maybe that particular hate preacher was banned, but I wouldn't mind betting it wasn't for long. So this continues apace. This happens all the time in mosques all over the country, this anti-Semitic hate preaching against Israel, you know, the annihilate Israel, kill all the Jews, take all their homes, etc., etc. Now, Lisa Nandy, in the wake of our synagogue attack a couple of weeks ago, the Culture Secretary, she has now launched a massive crackdown on Islamic centres preaching anti-Semitic hate. Guess what it is? Anyone who's been convicted of a hate crime won't be able to take a senior position on the charities that run mosques. That's it. That's it. It's pathetic, isn't it?
Well, I think I was brought up by a working class grandmother who would have called that the bleeding obvious.
Yeah.
Kev, I'm sorry, I don't know how else to put that. I mean, that should never have happened. I think that we are letting both communities down, and I think ultimately we're letting our nation down, because we have quite a substantial Islamic population here. I've mentored many of them, as I mentor indiscriminately British young people into universities. We have very, very good and capable young people. We're letting them down. One thing that struck me through that video is I didn't see any women in any of those videos. That's quite shocking. A lot of my mentees are young British Muslim women who will go to university, get good degrees, and who will be very respectable members of the British Muslim community. But we have the British Jews are right to complain, because we've just ignored this problem for 20 years, at least 20 years, 25 years. We've done nothing about it. We've literally put smouldering coals under the rug and just hoped everything would get better. And of course, this has resulted in threats to the Jewish community, the disgraceful murder of two innocent heroes at the Manchester
synagogue. Yeah.
Synagogue. I mean, it's just they are right to be screaming from high heaven. I mean, I won't complain about the British Jewish community at all. I wish we'd all scream from the high heavens about this.
Meanwhile, Stephen, of course, these hate marches continue through our cities every weekend. They vow for them to continue. My brilliant producer, Samara Gill, went down to the London march on Saturday, found these two guys running around with a jihad flag. Meanwhile, we've got footage and film of people shouting, you know, death to the Zios, put them in the ground, and so on and so forth. So this is
arrest them, Kev.
Yeah, but the police don't. Just like they don't do anything about hate preachers. I mean, you know, if I was being cynical, I would say that the whole British establishment was pro-Palestine and anti-Israel, including the police.
Well, I think these are all symptoms of the Marxism, actually. I think that they've just decided that they'll support extreme Islamic extremism and throw good British Muslims under the bus, because that's what that does. And then in the LGBT stuff, which, you know, I'm in the rainbow letter soup, they wanted to throw us under the bus with basically all types of wrong-uns, and quite a lot of us just went, no, we're not going under the bus with these people. We're decent British people. You're not singling us out. And it's the same problem in multiple places, and it really is this Fabian Marxism, which thinks it can lie and thinks it can run a state by lying and thinks it will create a Marxist utopia.
Something's got to give, Stephen. Something's got to give. Really good to have you on the show, as always. Excellent stuff there from Stephen Barrett, barrister and social commentator. Next up, it is Dame Andrea Jenkins, the Reform UK Manchester Mayor of Greater Lincolnshire. She's going to be on the phone. Give her a call, 03444991000. That next. Stay tuned.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. A little later in this hour, towards the end of the hour, I'm going to bring you the shocking story of the missing Australian little boy, 4 years old, named Gus Lamont. 2 Saturdays ago, he just disappeared. 5:30 in the evening. 1 minute, his grandmother was watching him playing in the yard of their homestead in the middle of nowhere, one of those Australian ranches in the outback, 300 miles north of Adelaide. Seeing the little kid playing there happily, she looked up 10 minutes later. He's gone, just gone. And there's been no sign of him since. He's literally vanished into thin air. Nobody knows what the hell happened to him. Lots of theories being thrown around, but nobody knows. And one tantalising clue. Massive searches going on, as you'd imagine. Aerial, police everywhere, huge searches. And the one tantalising clue that has been found, 500 yards from where the kid went missing, they found a single footprint, a shoe print that matched the shoes that little Gus was wearing. A single footprint, 500 yards away. What could have happened to him? I mean, you know, these are, you know, very remote areas, but aerial, you should be able to see something. It really is the most astonishing mystery with, of course, you know, absolutely traumatic ramifications for the family and indeed the nation of Australia. They're transfixed by this. What happened to little Gus Lamont? We'll talk about that later in the show. Meanwhile, I want us to stay now. I'm just about to be joined by Dame Andrea Jenkins, Reform UK's excellent Mayor of Greater Lincolnshire. Later on, in a while, we're going to take some calls. So if you've got anything you want to ask Andrea about Lincolnshire or about Reform UK, obviously lots to talk about with what happened with Nigel Farage today, do give her a call. She'll be happy to talk to you. That's 0344 499 1000. Call Andrea Jenkins. She's ready to talk. Meanwhile, she's ready to talk to me. So welcome to the show, Andrea.
Hi, good to see you as always.
A pleasure. Now, let's talk first of all about this awful case today involving Nigel Farage, because it gives rise to many reasons to discuss the various elements of this. Well, first of all, it's this guy Fayaz Khan, who notoriously was filmed coming across on a boat, a small boat, across the channel, and he had a Kalashnikov machine gun tattooed onto his cheeks. There he is, you can see, and he threatened to kill Nigel Farage. Well, today, because of that death threat at Southwark Crown Court, he got 5 years. He made his death threat on TikTok, of course. 5 years at Southern Crown Court, after which he launched a furious tirade, storming that Farage was just using him to become Prime Minister. And then he said, "You want to F my life? You want to put me in prison?" As I said, well, yes, correct on both counts. But well, look, let's listen to Nigel straight after the case. This is what he had to say.
This violent criminal, somebody with 17 convictions in Sweden, in 18 months' time, he will be in this country, living in a house of multiple occupancy or a hotel. He'll be free to walk the streets whilst his asylum claim is being judged. And the only reason we know about this guy is because somebody sent it to me on TikTok. And it makes me wonder, how many other Madapassers are there now in this country, or will there be as the boats continue to cross the channel?
Well, he's got a good point, hasn't he, Andrea? And what occurs to me about this? First of all, we should, in a little while, talk about Nigel Farage's security, which outrageously was reduced by 75% just about 4 weeks ago. Meanwhile, while the government was busy racking up former disgraced Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner's security to the extent she was allowed to keep her ministerial BMW. I don't know what the hell that's all about. Nigel, meanwhile, had his reduced. I'm not saying, by the way, that Angela Rayner isn't a potential security risk. She does deserve protection. But so does Nigel Farage, and I can't understand. Probably more than anyone else, Nigel Farage deserves state protection, and I can't understand why they've reduced that. But let's talk about that in just a second. Let's talk about the increasing danger that it seems to me our escalating migrant crisis is presenting to the people of this country. So we've got this guy. Meanwhile today, a court case started. We've got to be careful here because the suspect denies it. He's standing in court pleading not guilty. His name is Deng Choi Majek. He's a Sudanese asylum seeker. At Wolverhampton Crown Court, he denied this case started. He denied stabbing 27-year-old asylum seeker hotel worker Rhiannon White to death with a screwdriver 23 times. He also denies witness reports that after his alleged frenzied attack, he was seen laughing and dancing with excitement. The case continues. Bearing in mind, we must respect the fact that he's denying these charges, but you just hear about this guy with a Kalashnikov on his face, threatening Nigel. Then you read about this case, and you know so many other cases where asylum seekers have either been charged with or convicted of very serious violent or sexual crimes. And you think they're still pouring in. You know, day after day, they're pouring across the channel with a government doing nothing about it. Also, millions of legal migrants being allowed in. And, you know, it seems to me we're reaching crisis point. This lack of any policy to deal with this migrant invasion by this government, I think is putting the people of this country at great risk, don't you?
Completely. But it's been going on for years. And oh, Clifford, stop knocking on the door, and I'll stop it now.
It's Clifford again. He's always the star of the show.
I've even bribed him with a voucher to go and use on his computer. Right,
Clifford, I should tell everybody that Clifford is Andrea's son.
No, I mean, I remember in Parliament mentioning, do you remember that horrific case a few years ago, only about 3 or 4 years ago, when that granddad, what was it, Newcastle or Sunderland or something, got murdered by a migrant, and he passed through 10 safe countries to get to Britain. And this is, the thing is, we have got this flag in Britain which says, come here with soft touch, you get everything you want, and there's a two-tier justice system. And you're right, it is getting worse. I mean, that poor girl, it's horrific. She'd been working in a hotel, wasn't she? Then to get stabbed with a screwdriver. And the Nigel situation, I mean, hallelujah that someone's been convicted for a centre-right politician, because I mean, the amount of time, look at the milkshake situation, got let off, that girl got let off. Every person who's threatened me and even Clifford has got let off. And so I hope this two-tier justice system's finally changing, and he deserves to go down, but most importantly, he deserves to go back to his own country.
Absolutely. Mind you, I mean, Nigel said, he wants to go back to Afghanistan, send him back to Afghanistan. Exactly. I'd like him to do a little jail time first. I'd like him to have a bad time in our jails as well. Otherwise, we're kind of letting him off. We're letting him go free. He was furious. He didn't feel he warranted being sent to jail at all. I mean, I was just talking about, we just recently did this, earlier in the show, we did this feature about the Reform UK Councillor Claire Mackey-Brown up in Scotland, who's in trouble for saying that she was born and bred in Falkirk. That apparently is a hate crime. It's racist to say that.
What's saying born and bred?
Yeah, seriously. The police have now dramatically decided that there was no criminality involved.
But what a joke that is.
But the point, her alleged hate crime unfolded when she was interviewed by STV, Scottish Television. And she was talking about how the local community are frightened, are scared, because they've got a lot of asylum seeker hotels there. And I was citing the case. There was a guy, only about 3 months ago, was sentenced to 12 years. He was an Afghani asylum seeker, came across the channel illegally in a small boat. They almost immediately sent him to a 4-star hotel in Falkirk in Scotland. He walked straight out, grabbed a 15-year-old local vulnerable girl, took her behind the pub and viciously raped her. He got 12 years. But this is just... so that's what Claire Mackey-Brown is talking about. People are frightened. People are scared. And this is going on all over the country. And we have a government that is doing the square root of nothing about it at all.
No, I agree with you. It is just... Well, number one, why would that be a hate crime?
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, look. When I said that a woman, even at my election, that the woman had come, one of the candidates had come from she was born in another country, then I was seen to be racist. I mean, you can't say anything nowadays, can you? Yeah. But it's just got ridiculous. But it is about time we put the British people first. I mean, I'm trying to even shake things up with education and get rid of the ESOL, English as a foreign language, for which the county spends £1 million a year, Kevin, and make the British people be upskilled on literacy and numeracy. So, it's in every aspect of society. We've got to start putting the British people first.
Indeed. Let's talk a little bit about your local area. As I say, everyone, get on the phone. Andrea will take your calls after the next break. 0344 499 1000. What should we call it? Call Andrea. I could do better than that, couldn't I? But not exactly the most imaginative.
You could do AJ Talks.
Yeah,
Talks
there you go. Yes, let's do that. Yeah, Jenkins. Yeah, call Jenkins. AJ Talks. Well, we know that already. So listen, let's talk about Ed Miliband. By the way, he's off to Brazil with about 450 British delegates next month, in a couple of weeks, where he will spend £4 million worth of taxpayers' money.
Oh yeah,
achieving the square.
And he's taking a big delegation, didn't we speak on his show?
Yeah, about 450, we think. 450, 470, all flying there, business and first class, in great big jets, just completely ruining the environment, talking about saving the environment. It's pathetic.
And I got hammered by the left for wanting to employ 3 staff in my team when I had none. And I've been hammered by the media for that.
Andrea, go into the net zero business. They'll let you employ 1 million people. But he is, it looks like he's hell-bent on destroying Lincolnshire as well, with his energy developments. I've seen the story
I'd love to bring him to Lincolnshire. He is, he's seen as... an evil figure, actually, in Lincolnshire, is trying to desecrate our countryside with 40,000 acres of solar farm on agricultural land. And what about food security? We feed Britain, and he's just signed one off today as well.
Well, there's a local reform councillor up there called Sean Matthews, a former copper. Yeah. He says that rather than let Ed Miliband's bulldozers wreck the Lincolnshire countryside, he wants to build these huge solar farms, doesn't he? And not to mention windmills. Sean says he'll lie down in front of the bulldozers. This could be coming to some kind of a head, couldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we need to do lots of things to try and frustrate things, it's planning permission. I think we need to look at what infrastructure projects is needed, make sure we thwart that, and try and delay it until the next election. I think that's what we need to do at the county, actually.
Yeah. Let's go back to the kind of violence that's going on, Nigel Farage being targeted, but also, of course, last Friday, George Finch, the 19-year-old Warwickshire council leader, Reform UK guy. By the way, I don't know George, but people who've met him say everyone always goes, he's 19, 19, 19. That's all they ever say about him. I can understand that. But people who've met him, I don't know if you have, but Isabel Oakshott was telling me, he's very impressive. He is very much an old head on young shoulders. Yeah, anyway, the poor guy got...
focused, bless him.
Yeah, the poor guy got viciously beaten up on Friday by thugs shouting fascist and racist. Nigel Farage saying, well, who started the fascist and racist rhetoric? Oh, how I know it was Keir Starmer at the Labour Party conference.
Exactly.
Particularly our government ought to be a bit careful about this. That bloke, Zach Polanski, the Green leader,
He changed his name, didn't he?
Yeah, David Polden is his real name. But this is a guy, right, by the way, he's the Green leader. Seems to speak about anything, everything, except ecological issues.
I wish he was right on one thing, though, that if you have hypnosis, it increases your breast size, he reckons, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. If you listen to him...
We'll all be queuing up for hypnosis as women.
I think if you listen to him on trans issues, no doubt he could increase the size of women's penises with his hypnotism. He called reform fascists and racists as well.
Oh God, they all do, don't they?
But it leads to people trying to kill Nigel Farage or beating up poor George Finch. I'm all for free speech, but people in government, in particular, politicians, should be a bit more responsible about what they say, don't you think?
But look, even the former deputy leader of the Labour Party, former deputy prime minister, Angela Rayner, look at the stuff she's said over the years. This is Labour, isn't it? Do you remember when somebody called, was it John McDonnell, called for Estimate of A to be lynched? The left get away with it. And, look what happened in America. It was
Charlie Kirk, yeah.
Yeah, it was abhorrent. It was his birthday as well, wasn't it, today? And it should have been his birthday. And, I think it's an accident waiting to happen in Britain. And the poor reform 19-year-old, they have got to change the rhetoric. And like you said, for the leaders of the Labour Party to be coming up with rhetoric like that, it is dangerous. And they're obsessed with reform, but they shouldn't put people into danger. It's irresponsible.
Absolutely. Changing tack slightly just before we do go to break. Did you see the Prime Minister in Sharm el-Sheikh yesterday? It was excruciating, wasn't it? It was the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen. Him shuffling around trying to sort of.
I thought Trump was cool, though, didn't you?
Yeah, Trump. It was Trump's day, as I said. He was like the sort of ringmaster in the circus of his own triumph, absolutely loving it. But he went out of his way to embarrass the Palestine recognisers, as in Keir Starmer, Mark Carney of Canada, and of course Macron of France. But he really, really humiliated Starmer, and Starmer just looked like a fool, didn't he? As I said earlier in the show, he looked like Mr. Bean or something. It's a joke, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Are you playing the clip now?
We could. We will. What did you think of it?
Okay.
What did you think of it?
I mean, look, I got it sent about 7 times to me. Said, have you seen this? Yeah, from constituents, and it was embarrassing, but it wasn't the first time, was it? Look how when Trump dropped his papers, he was there on his hands and knees picking them up. He's just got no gravitas, has he?
No, he hasn't. What did you make of the barefaced lies that this Parliament, this government, has been trying to tell about its alleged role in negotiating the peace in Gaza? Bridget Phillipson went on to telly on Sunday, we had a key role behind the scenes. No, they didn't.
Ridiculous.
No, they didn't. Well, Mike
They played into the hands of Hamas by recognising Palestine while with Hamas, a terrorist organisation, at the helm. They didn't even try to use it as a bargain tool to bring the hostages home, did they? They should have done that.
Well, that's exactly what the Deputy Foreign Minister of Israel said, Sharon Heskell. She said, not only did Britain not play any role whatsoever in the negotiating of this peace, you actually delayed a potential peace by recognising Palestine. So you actually materially got in the way of peace by recognising Palestine. And the reason that Britain wasn't involved is its policies ever since Labour came to power have been blatantly pro-Palestine. It's an old Labour fixation, Palestine, and blatantly anti-Israel. Simple as that.
Yes. Completely. And I wonder what Greta's going to do now. What about Flotilla? What she's going to do now?
She'll have to find somewhere else to sail to, won't she?
Won't she? Exactly.
Unbelievable. Listen, let's go to break. As I say, folks, call Andrea Jenkins, 0344 499 1000. Ask her what you like, and we'll talk after the break. Stick around.
There was a real risk that what has happened, as I said, in around 50 Tory councils and 35, 40 Labour councils over the last decade would have happened in reform councils as well. So the problem at the moment for local councils is the vast majority of what they are delivering and their budget are social care. That is controlled by this Labour government and not by local councils. And so it is a great testament to them that they've managed to find the savings to plug the hole that this awful Labour government continue to leave in them.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I'm still with Dame Andrea Jenkins, Reform UK's Mayor of Greater Lincolnshire. She's on the phone. She's willing to take any of your calls. Give her a ring. Call Andrea on 0344 499 1000. Andrea, here's John from Sutton. Hello, John. What would you like to ask Andrea?
Evening, Andrea, Kevin. Yeah, what I wanted to ask Andrea... hi. Yeah, what I wanted to ask you, Andrea, was what position do you think Reform will be in after next May's election? I mean, they're soaring in the polls now, and they're projected to do very well next May. And do you think that it could put pressure on Starmer if Labour get the beating I think they're going to get, to call for an early election?
I think that, yes, Starmer will get a beating. I'm touching some wood here because, you know, as we've seen, a week can be a long time in politics, but we are soaring ahead. We're getting more public confidence. We're coming up with some really strong policies. I think we'll do well in Wales as well. But I don't think we'll be able to get rid of Starmer, to be honest. They've got too much of a big majority, and they've got a lot of nodding dogs there who all want positions in government. So it's going to be very hard to oust him. I mean, from the outside, we all want him gone. Of course we do. But and I don't think the Labour Party are as ruthless as the Conservatives at getting rid of leaders as well as the Conservatives were. You know, we had a lot of leaders. I when I was a Conservative, I called for 2 to resign, but I'm not sure that they'll get rid of him that easy, unfortunately.
Wiped out in Wales, Andrea.
Yes, completely.
The pressure from the press is going to be strong on him. Be a lot of questions asked. Are you going to call an election? So
yes.
Don't be surprised if it does.
No, I mean, I'm praying that, but I actually think they'll get rid of Kemi before they get rid of Starmer. That's what I think. I think the Conservatives will get rid of Kemi. If they don't do well next year, she'll be gone. And look, I want there to be election next year and Reform to be there leading the country back to greatness again. But do I think we can have a quick election like that? I'd love to see that. But the mechanism, remember, they need MPs to vote for it. Look how, look at Theresa May's never-ending Groundhog Day with Brexit, trying to get the votes through. You need more opposition to be able to push for an election, and they've got a big majority. So it's going to take a lot. Even all the petitions that's going on, it's going to take a lot to remove him.
Are you, stay where you are, John, Andrea, are you optimistic about Wales in particular? Because I had a Reform councillor on from Wales near Swansea last week, and she said that the Reform contingent in that great country were very confident that something seismic was going to happen because, of course, Wales absolutely died in the wool Labour, as everybody always said. They'd vote for a spaniel if it had a red rosette on it. But she said, we think we're going to do it. We think we're going to sweep the board. Do you think Reform will?
I think I think we stand a good chance, Kevin. And if I'm going by my election early this year, where the fact that we could pull from Labour, we could pull from Conservatives, and in the coastal areas of like the Grimsby and Cleethorpes, we got loads of votes there. And look, the Conservatives have never really been able to break into Wales very well, have they? No. Like you said, it's always been Labour. But we've got this amazing ingredient to pull from left and right. Because we've just got common sense politics. We want the best for our country. So, touch wood. I'm expecting good things as well in Wales.
And John, just before you go, are you or will you be voting Reform?
Oh, most definitely. I joined the party a year ago.
There you go. Well, you've just spoken.
You're going to stand yourself, John. We need decent, strong people to stand.
There you go, John.
I don't think I'll stand, but I'll definitely be with you in spirit for whoever is standing.
Yeah. John,
out delivering leaflets. We need you on the ground as well.
There you go. You've just been recruited, John. John, really good to talk to you. Thank you so much for an excellent call. John in Sutton there. Let's go to Mark in Lincolnshire, regular caller. Mark, you've got a couple of questions for Andrea. What's the first one?
Hi there, Kev. Hi, Andrea.
Hello, Mark.
Hi there. The first one is concerns digital ID.
So what, sorry?
Digital ID.
Digital ID.
Oh, digital ID, yes, right.
Yeah. So my thing about this is, my suspicion is I think this will probably roll out in the next year or two, because I'm absolutely shocked that they haven't got an app ready to go, Tony Blair Institute, etc. I'm pretty sure there's something ready to go in the pipeline. So the question really is, are Reform actually going to get rid of it if they come into power?
I mean, look, Nigel's been quite strong on it. I've been quite strong on it as well. We don't want it. Of course we don't.
That's it. The British people don't want this. They don't want it. It's as simple as that. It's not
I just
British.
feel it's a way to control people, don't you? And all this rubbish saying it's actually to stop illegal migration. They're not going to sign up to this, are they, and do things. They're breaking the law to come here. So this is just a way to get our data and control us more. No, I'm completely against it, and I know Nigel is as well.
Yeah, I think that the good thing, Mark, is this. I mean, even Labour are only saying, we're hoping to bring it in by the end end of this Parliament. So with a bit of luck, they'll be put off by the level of protest, because that petition is a phenomenon. 3 million signatures. That's huge. Support.
Or the manufactures something to say, oh, we suddenly need it.
Yeah, but the thing is...
Governments do that, don't they? Yeah.
But either way, if they bring it in, if they do manage to bring it in, say, towards the end of their administration...
We'll take to the streets, won't we?
Well,
I know
well, let's hope that Reform get in and then can immediately cancel it, yeah?
Absolutely, yeah. The sooner we can get into power, the better, and we can right a lot of these wrongs, can't we? Definitely.
Mark, what's your second question to Andrew?
Yeah, second one's probably going to be a lot harder to answer. Let's say Reform get in, which I think they probably will. I'm not saying I'm particularly a Reform voter. I'm kind of floating at the minute. I'm actually, I'll be totally honest with Andrea, I am a member of UKIP, but I'm not sure what I'm doing at the moment, if I'm totally honest.
Are you the only one now, Mark?
Ha, 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 so bloody funny.
Go on, mate, sorry. I've had this conversation with Mark before, Andrea, but go on, mate, go on.
Cheeky sod. But the question I actually have is regarding deportations. Right, now, obviously, Nigel's doing the sensible thing coming out of the ECHR, but that's only part of the story with deportations. The biggest challenge he's ever going to face is what happens internally. That is to say, the civil service, the permanent secretaries, all that kind of stuff. What's Nigel prepared to do about that? Because if he doesn't address those issues, he ain't going to deport anybody, or very few anyway. So that's a real concern.
It's a good question. What's he going to do about the blob? Well, what's he going to do about the blob?
No,
Seriously.
I've been having that. We haven't released anything yet, but I can tell you my views. Yep, and what I'd like to see. I've been having conversations. Remember, I'm on the board as well, so I've been having quite strong conversations with some of the top people in Reform, saying my big fear is that if we get into government, say it's 2029, hopefully it's sooner, but say if it's 2029, then number one, I think there'll be a national strike. We'll get all the civil servants striking. It'll be worse than it is at the moment. And number two, they're going to try and thwart what we do. So we need two good policy changes that we will urgently get through. One is to stop the blighters striking, and a way where we can actually change our system of the blob, where just like they have in America, where we bring in our own top levels of civil servants to get things through. I think personally, this isn't a Reform thing. This is me personally, having been in government, seen it on the inside, what they can be like. So I think we need to do that, and we need some strong legislation to stop the striking as well. I think that's the two things that we need.
Listen, Mark,
I've been quite vocal on this.
I've got one quick question to you, Andrew. If the civil servants in Whitehall do go on strike, how will we tell?
You dislike them.
How will we tell if they're on strike? You know, what will be the difference? Mark, always good to hear from you, mate. Excellent call. Thank you so much.
We need to end this work from home, don't we? As well?
Indeed. That's Mark in your county of Lincolnshire. I'll tell you what we're going to do now, Andrew, because we haven't got too much longer. I think we should go to break now. I've got a couple more calls that we'll try and get in after the break. So, Roy in Hampshire, stay where you are. Lawrence in Colchester, and hopefully Wayne in Lincolnshire as well. So all stay where you are, and we'll talk to you after this break.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Still with Andrea Jenkins. Call Dame Andrea. Haven't got too long, but we'll try and squeeze in 2, maybe 3 calls. So first of all, Ray in Hampshire. Hello, Roy. Is it Roy or Ray? Roy. Roy in Hampshire. Hello.
Roy, Kevin. Yeah.
Hello, Roy. Nice to speak to you. Talk to Andrea.
Andrea, what do you think of Mr. Benn's statement in Parliament today? He's going to send the regiments, allow them to be prosecuted for what they did in Northern Ireland. Basically, the IRA got hold of a digger and they'd loaded the bucket up with explosive and they were going to drive it into the police station and blow it up. The SAS got wind of it and they took the the IRA out, and now he's going to allow them, the members that of the regiment that took part, he's going to allow them to be prosecuted.
I actually haven't seen that today. I've been in meetings. So are you talking about...
I think it's the principle, Andrea. It's the principle.
Okay. Are you talking about Northern Ireland veterans?
Yeah,
or are you talking...
No, he's talking about veterans from the Troubles who Hilary Benn today will still be prosecuted.
Okay, right. Yeah, so I haven't seen today. Look, I was the Northern Ireland whip at the time trying to bring the Northern Ireland veterans legislation through to stop prosecutions. I'm very passionate about this. I also signed a letter with other MPs, which we got signatures and took it to the Prime Minister at the time. I'm very passionate about protecting our veterans, hence why I'm setting up a veterans village in Lincolnshire, which we start building next year. It's wrong. They're just doing the jobs. And I was devastated, actually, when they have rode back on what we did when I was in government. It's shocking.
It's disgusting. I mean, I'm an old soldier. We go out, you do the government's bidding. They save the life of those police officers, and now they want to prosecute them. I mean,
and you live in fear. You live in fear now when you've served the country. It's not good enough. I mean, this is why with my veterans village, it's all about, you fought for us, so we should fight for you now. We should have that mentality as a government, as politicians, and it's abhorrent what they're doing, Mom. I completely agree.
Well, I was sent all over the world to do the government's bidding. When we had a friendly country, they were in trouble and they asked for our help. We went over there, we did the job. We got back on the plane. Nobody ever heard about what we did. And, I mean, it was his father that made Rolls-Royce go skint, wasn't it?
But do you know what? Absolutely. But do you know what I find sad in this country? What's great about the US is how we thank our servicemen for their service to the country. We need to start doing that in Britain. So, Kev, let's both of us today thank you for your service, Roy.
Yeah, thank you, Roy. Thank you for your service. I always try to say that to soldiers and veterans.
It shouldn't just be once a year when it's remembrance, etc., should it? I mean, we have a great Armed Forces Day in Lincolnshire, which I was at this year, but we should be fighting for you. I mean, this is why I'm so passionate about the Veterans Village, as I've said, and I want Lincolnshire to become the county which are pro-veterans, where, we stick up for you, we respect you, and we make sure that when you come out of the forces, you've got the support. But back to Hilary Benn, it's abhorrent.
Yeah.
But so is a lot with this Labour government.
Yeah, let's not get started on that. Listen, Roy, thank you for an excellent call, and thank you for your service, seriously. Roy in Hampshire. Let's a quick last call now. This is Wayne in Lincolnshire. Hello, Wayne. Talk to Andrea.
Hello, Wayne.
Andrea, thank you first of all for taking over our great county. I don't know if you've been in Boston, but we've got a building.
I used to live in Boston. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a building there, but it hasn't been occupied for the last 6 years. I want to know when the staff are going back to work and instead of being at home.
I don't you're on about the Borough Council, are you?
That's right. Yes.
With the locals in Boston, is it still called West Street?
That's it. Yes.
I remember when I lived there, it was called West Street. Yeah. Look. Unfortunately, I have no jurisdiction of the borough councils. I'm the combined authority, but I can say to you that my combined authority, which I chair, we've got a recruitment at the moment because there's only just a handful of staff, but we got to turn it to a delivery mode where we can deliver infrastructure projects, new towns, etc. And I've insisted that the people we take on, they all work in the office. We've got to change this. No more of this working from home. No more skiving on taxpayers' money.
That's it, Andrea.
Things have got to change.
Working from home means watching Netflix at home. Working from home is the scourge. I'll tell you what, Wayne, working from home, in my view, is the scourge of this country, the scourge of the Western world. People should go to work, do a day's work. When the boss isn't looking, people aren't working. It's one of the rules of life, Wayne. Listen, Wayne, got to move on, but really good call. Thank you very much. It's always good to talk to you. Wayne in the wonderful county of Lincolnshire. Andrea, well, that was great. Let's do this again. Call Andrea. I like it a lot. I like it a lot, and the audience have loved it too. So once again, thanks. Always a pleasure to have you on the show, Andrea. Dame Andrea Jenkins there, Reform UK's Mayor of Greater Lincolnshire, doing Call Andrea. I liked that. Did you? I hope you did. Right, we're going to go to break now, and when we come back, as I said earlier in the hour, we're going to cross the world. We're going to have a look at this traumatising mystery that is gripping Australia and, in fact, reverberating around the world now. 2 Saturdays ago. So you go back to this Saturday, so 2.5 weeks ago, on a Saturday afternoon, 4-year-old Gus Lamont, little kid, blonde, curly hair, was playing at his family's very, very remote ranch in the Australian outback. His grandmother looked up at 5:30. There he was, playing around in the backyard. 10 minutes later, she looked up again. He's gone. Vanished into thin air. There's not a trace of him has been seen since. Nobody knows what the hell has happened. They are 18 miles from the nearest road. So it's unlikely that somebody kidnapped him. And the one tantalising clue that has emerged after a massive search, which continues to this day, is Gus's little shoe print, matching the shoes he was wearing 500 yards from where he went missing. One little footprint. That's it. What the hell happened to that kid? We'll talk about that next. Stay tuned.
I think that you can't legislate against stupidity, can you? And I think that these marches, which have been an absolute abhorrence for the people of the capital city of London, should have been stopped at the outset. And they certainly should be stopped now that there's nothing left to protest over. As you said earlier, there's a whole shopping list of things that they want, but they've all been settled, at least for the moment. There is peace, there is a ceasefire, the prisoners have been released. Yep. And so what are they protesting about?
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, welcome back. This is the story that all Australia is talking about right now. It is an extraordinary mystery, a traumatising mystery. Poor little Gus Lamont, 4 years old, 2 Saturdays ago, so like 2.5 weeks ago, around about 5:30 on a Saturday afternoon, he was playing in a sandpit in the backyard of his family's ranch. There's Gus there. Very distinctive kid, as you can see. And his grandmother looked at him through the kitchen window. Little Gus playing in the sandpit. 10 minutes later, she looked up. He was gone, and not a sign of him has been seen since. He has vanished into thin air. Massive search throughout the whole area. Nothing has been revealed except one tantalising clue. 500 yards from where he went missing, the searchers have found one tiny shoe print that matches the shoes that little Gus was wearing. Trackers say it may not be relevant. It could have been put there before he went missing, but that's all we've got. That's all there is. Now, my producer, who hails from Australia, Samara Gill, has been looking into this case, and obviously she's well aware of how gripped by this saga Australia is. Where were we at, Samara? They're still looking, but no sign.
Look, I mean, Australia's outback can be very beautiful, but very merciless. I knew quite a few people that lived in those sort of desolate lands where all you can see is just barren earth for miles and miles and miles. And this is where this boy has been lost. And this is where this really takes place. It's quite eerie. It's quite a creepy environment if you think about it. And I just think of the sun sort of setting on that dark desert and the family not seeing their son and him still being lost. I mean, it's been about 2 weeks now. A lot of
2.5,
two and a half, yeah. And the police are saying, you know, it's pretty unlikely that when we do find him, if we ever do, that he'll be alive. Now, there is still hope. There is still hope. They said that there were no birds of prey circling the property, so that means that there's no remains near the property, if that makes sense. I mean, they've had everyone on this. They've had trackers. They've had, you know, people of the indigenous land looking into it. Air search, SAS. Australia is very good at these searches. They throw everything behind it. Yeah, they know how to do it. I mean, when you think about very famous cases like a dingo ate my baby, which then proved to actually be correct.
We all remember that.
Yeah.
So this is 300 miles, 4 hours drive or so north of Adelaide.
Yes.
So that's in South Australia. And if you see the pictures of it really is the heart of the outback. This homestead, look at that. This homestead in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So that's where the kid was playing. And then there's this intriguing, tantalising clue. Here's a shoe print found 500 yards away. Now, as you said, expert trackers have said, well, that could have been left there before Gus went missing. But on the basis that it wasn't, what the hell could that mean? Now, we should stress, so people say, oh, well, do you think the kid could have been kidnapped? Well, the nearest road of any potential use by a car or a truck
It's 18 miles away, right? And the nearest town's about 50 miles away. So if he was kidnapped, who would have done it? How could they have done it?
Well, that's a really good point. They did search the entire property and they found no sign of a scuffle. So this shoe print doesn't really give us anything at all if you think about it. And it said that there is zero evidence that he is on the property. That's what a search team member has said. So that's what we can kind of deduce from that. But in terms of who might have kidnapped him, I tell you what, I mean, you're probably not going to like this theory, Kev, but there were a lot of internal issues within that family. Now, his grandmother is a transgender. I guess it was formerly his grandfather. Now, that's not a problem. That isn't, you know, why she could be the kidnapper.
Not necessarily relevant.
You know, well, it is sort of relevant to the story because his dad, Joshua Lamont, had a big sort of falling out with the grandmother.
So there's a family
there's a few
nuance.
There's
to
a
this.
few.
Yeah,
the dad lives 200 kilometers from the property. It's understood that the mother and the father are still together, but the dad was never really allowed onto the property. So there's also that as a consideration. He always said, I don't want my child going out on that barren land because it's dangerous and we don't know where he could wander off to. And so he's obviously distraught. There are some photos you can see online of him just absolutely in pieces about this. I do want to bring up a quote from the child's grandmother, who was the last person who saw him. She said,
what's her name?
Her name's Josie.
Josie.
So
she's the last person who saw him playing in the sandpit.
Correct. And she's basically said, we are still looking for him. You can't help. We are dealing with this as a family. And then the family had put out a statement saying, we urge volunteers to stay away from the property and not help with the search. Now, I find this strange.
That is strange.
What do you make of that?
Well, I find that extremely strange. I mean, normally when you're looking for a missing kid, the family just say, come one, come all. All people are welcome to help with the search. So that is strange. But the other thing is that you're looking at the terrain there. I mean, it's quite, as you said, it's barren, isn't it? It's not like forested or anything like that. So from above, intensive helicopter searches, air searches, have revealed nothing. I mean, this is the extraordinary mystery we're talking about. You know, I hate to say, literally vanished into thin air. Literally, but he did. I mean, 1 minute, there he is. His grandmother looking at him, smiling, oh, look at little Gus playing in the sandpit. 10 minutes later, she looks up, gone, never to be seen again. The family frantically searched until nightfall that night, 2 Saturdays ago. And I think sort of technically, I'm trying to think, it's Saturday. The Saturday barn, 2.5 weeks ago. And then when night fell, they called the police in. But it does seem sort of almost impossible that with that terrain that you can see quite clearly from above that there's no sign except this one shoe print 500 yards away. If that is relevant, how did he get 500 yards ago? Why is there only one footprint? It's just so strange, isn't it?
It's tumbleweed country for sure. I mean, that's what we're kind of looking at here. And you're right. I mean, how does one child just vanish into thin air? It's just not something that happens on a regular basis, especially not in the Australian outback. And as I said, there is this sort of creepy air to the whole thing looming over this desolate countryside that we are talking about. It's like nothing sort of any of our UK listeners would probably even understand unless they've been there, which I know a lot of them have. But I mean, what I do start to think about is the fact that the father was only notified multiple hours after they said that he was missing and after they were looking for him. I do wonder about that. I mean, we know that there are fractures within the family. There's zero evidence he's on the property. There's just this one small footprint that we have to go off. It's not enough. It's not enough to put a case together. I mean, even the services gave up and now they're resuming on Monday, this Monday, about looking for him again.
And then there's this awful element, the ghouls have got involved, and there's been this horrible fake AI photograph put around. Look, so that's the picture, that's a little, you know, and of course that's a very typical AI. It's very convincing, but it turns out to be a total fake. So in the manner of these things, it always happens, doesn't it? These mysteries, missing person mysteries, create a kind of vacuum, and these ghouls and these freaks enter that vacuum and only increase the torment of the family.
I do agree with that, but I think who might have created that fake AI image in order to stir something up, maybe put people down a different path, throws people off the scent of something else. I mean, that would have been created with malicious intent. No one just sort of says, oh, there's a missing kid, let's make a fake AI photograph about it, unless you truly are evil. So I do think that there might be something a little bit deeper to this AI image that we don't know. I want to know who created this and who's behind it.
And what are people saying in Australia? Are they focusing more and more on the family?
I think there is a focus on the family. They've only just spoken up in the last couple of days, which is very odd for a family with a missing child. When we talk about that AI photo, it was circulated over 23,000 times. So there's clear public interest in this. But I think people of the town will keep searching, even though they've been told not to by the family. And everyone will be on the lookout for this. But yeah, in Australia, I mean, we don't love a missing person story, but it really is a mystery at this point. There's so much that we still don't know.
And of course, there is one hell of a lot of the outback for somebody to go missing in. I mean, it is a wilderness, the kind of which people in Britain can barely imagine, right?
Parents' worst nightmare, genuinely, if you think about your child being lost in that desolate outback with absolutely hundreds and hundreds of kilometres, miles to look for. It really is the worst nightmare of any single parent in Australia or the UK, and so I just hope that we do find him, but as the days go on, it's looking bleaker and bleaker.
Yeah, it's an extraordinary story, and we'll keep you posted on it. But how does a kid, even in that remote place, how does a kid vanish into thin air? After the news, we're talking to Kinsey Schofield about all matters royal. We're going to find out about Meghan, what she's up to next, what she did next. So I expect you to stay tuned for that. We've got lots to talk about. What was she doing in Paris? What was she doing in New York? And so much more. Also, Harry's starring in one of her videos. That's strange as well. So stay tuned. Kinsey Schofield next.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back for the next few minutes, half an hour or so. Let's talk to the host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered, Kinsey Schofield. Hi, Kins.
Hi, Kev. I took one for the team today and watched that entire Meghan Markle interview with Fortune, if you're curious for a recap.
I think we've got a bit of it, but why don't you tell us what it was all about first? What was the reason for her gracing us with her words of wisdom?
Well, I mean, is it ever really words of wisdom? This was...
I was being facetious.
Yeah. Somehow, Meghan was invited to Fortune's Most Powerful Women Summit. This is the work of great PR, a great publicist, and this is also the work and this is also the result of print media being dead and being more interested in clickbait than in somebody's actual skills or credibility.
And who was she? Was this next level influencer thing? Is that what this was? Yeah. And was it Kamala Harris was there as well? Am I right?
Yeah, they're not on the stage together, though. Meghan is one-on-one in an interview, but this is, yes, it's their, this is what Meghan's segment was called Next Level Influence. And they were supposed to talk about how Meghan planned to build a successful, long-lasting business empire. And one of the ways they teased it was how Meghan was going to be talking about navigating entrepreneurship in the public eye and building a brand that will endure. Also, one of the lines was that, you know, the challenges she might face as a highly scrutinized founder and how she plans to leverage her significant influence to build this brand. But we didn't get much of that.
Didn't we? What did she talk about then? We're going to play a bit in a minute, but I'm enjoying your rendition of what happened. What did she talk about?
Well, within the first 5 seconds, she takes a dig at the British royal family because the host says, yes, the host says, take me back to when you leave England. And she says, oh, you know, that was just about nesting and healing. I mean, I think a lot of times I do think she's responding to us, because how many times have you and I talked and we discussed that she had the same amount of time stuck in her home that we did. There was plenty of time to strategize what her next steps were. So this messy execution of absolutely everything, there's absolutely no excuse for it.
That was about nesting. What's nesting? What does she mean?
Having babies, hanging out with her kids in Birkenstocks, she says. Yeah. But it was the healing. That's where she's taking that dig at the British royal family.
She's got so many wounds about being in racist Britain with a racist royal family. Yeah.
That gave her the Duchess title she's using on the stage right there. And then she talks about how the host goes out of her way to say Meghan is such a good mom because in the last 2 weeks, as she's been globetrotting, she took one day to go home and see her kids. And Meghan pauses for applause because she wants she's so proud of herself. She's like, that's what it's all about, right? You've been home one day out of the last 2 weeks, and you think that everybody should be fawning over you for that. You don't need to be in New York hobnobbing right now. This is literally an ego trip. She says, I thought this was interesting, that making jam was her passion project that she turned into a business. Now that conflicts with her previous story at the Time 100 event, where she says Netflix initiated her jam business, that this was their idea, that they came to the conclusion that this is the path for her. She talks about it as if this was, God came down and told her, you're making such good jam, you should pursue this. So that was a shift, but that's always fun when it comes to Meghan Markle's Meghan Markle's version of events. They're always changing. Yeah. Her advice to the room of females was learn to give yourself the grace to pivot, which, by the way, she's pivoting so often, so hard lately that my insurance company is going to call her. The whiplash is unacceptable. We get it, girl. You're pivoting, constantly pivoting. Also, she mentioned beauty and fashion around the pivot talk. So this is something you and I've talked about on Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered.
Yeah.
I think she's going into makeup. Maybe she's going into fashion. I think she's going into makeup.
Yeah.
We'll have to see.
That's a really interesting quote. May God give you the grace to pivot. In other words, that's excusing herself for constantly changing her mind about what exactly she wants to do with her strange life. Before we play this clip, is she still in New York, or has she returned to LA now?
She's on. I imagine she's on her way back, or she's in the process
But this
of
was
heading
in
back.
New York, yeah?
Today, yes.
Let's have a quick look at what happened today.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Washington D.C. Washington D.C.
Right, so she was in New York for the weekend. We'll talk about that in a minute, and then she went to Washington D.C. for this. So let's have a look.
When I was on Suits, that was my last time really in a position with a very large team. We had a crew of 200 people, and I worked on the show for 7 years, and I loved the crew. I loved that experience and the culture that's on set as well. And so I think being able to now have my own business, it's very different than being on set. And even the set for With Love Megan, that's a crew of 80 people. It's still a very large crew. But for my business, I've been very decisive about having a lean team. I think you want to have a great soundboard of people that are with you and with varied points of view. You want someone who's going to push back. You want someone who's going to be so creative and savvy in a space that might not be my skill set. So I love creating that culture, having that camaraderie with my team, and playing and being curious. Constantly just pushing the envelope to ask the questions of how can we show up in a way that truly indicates that we are putting care into every detail.
There's old Megan once again, English as a second language. What on earth is she talking about? You can never make head nor tail of it, can you, Kinsey?
No, but, you know, she says Suits was her last time in a very large team, 200 people. The royal family employs over 1,000 people. You just weren't a team player. Yeah. You just weren't a team player. Get over yourself. And that last line, how can we show up in a way that truly indicates that we are putting care into every detail? Well, I would suggest not recording yourself a stone's throw away from where your mother-in-law died, because that isn't really an example of putting that extra care into anything, your actions, whatever. She intentionally compares herself to the Obamas when describing her demotion from Netflix. They ask what happened with Netflix, tell us about this new deal. And she's like, oh, well, it's just like President Obama's, because she's trying to...
mean that they got sacked as well? Yeah.
She's trying to distract from the fact that she got a demotion, and she tries to play it off as a benefit that she can take her content elsewhere. Well, where is it? Because you've had plenty of time to shop it around, and there are no whispers about any Archwell projects going anywhere else. She says the business will, of course, go on longer than a series. She knows something we don't. That's my initial thought when she says that. And then when asked about season 3 from the host, she pivots.
Yeah,
and,
she's got the grace to pivot, right? Yeah,
she has the grace to pivot, and she starts talking animatedly about the Christmas special.
Oh God!
Basically distracting from the fact that there is no season 3. I think that was a tell that there is no season 3. And instead of saying, "Well, we've decided," because she says the brand will go on beyond the show, and then when she's asked specifically about a 3rd season, she jumps into, "Oh, well, there's a Christmas special. Oh, it's so," and then her body language completely changes. Like she moves in her seat. Like that was a tell to me that we do not have season 3 to look forward to. And then she also distracts.
To not look forward to.
Yeah. And then she also distracts by going into the idea of micro content. She goes into this asked explanation about how she thinks that perhaps she could take this show and make it into short form content because of that. That's where the world's going.
Instagram posts, in other words.
Yes. And friendly
here
reminder.
I am boiling an egg.
Friendly reminder. Exactly. And I've said from the get-go, from the launch of this show, that this entire show, 40 minutes, could be a 60-second TikTok video. And Afia Hagen, Meghan Markle's groom of the stool, said I was ridiculous on Good Morning Britain. And here's Meghan Markle admitting that, perhaps that's the way, that's the direction they should go. Now, she said she refuses... they asked her about negative feedback and how does she decipher what's genuine feedback that could help help her shape her brand versus what's just nasties and nasty Nancy's. And she says that she again distracts from that very specific question to say that she shuts comments off on her Instagram for the sake of her fans, so that they don't have to see the negativity. Meghan Markle, if you're watching, let me tell you, girl, they're always looking for a fight. They're in the comments right now of this video.
Yeah.
These people do not want to avoid drama. They live for it. So the fact that she tries to push that off on them, she said she would be open to creating a magazine or a cookbook. I mean, she'd be open to open a Walmart store. I mean, cut the ribbon at a Walmart store. Obviously, she's open to a lot of things.
Yeah.
And then she says, this is so weird, Kev. I wish we would have clipped this. The host says, I'm curious, now that you have numerous businesses and ventures under your belt, and you're obviously still in the thick of it, what have you learned about yourself as a leader and as a CEO? Meghan moans and then says, thank you. Like, it's like, thanks for what? For playing into this whole fake brand that I've built?
Yeah.
Like, why are you moaning and saying thank you? Like, and then she doesn't give a straight up response, but it's just that moan and thank you where it's almost like she's just so grateful to have somebody playing along with this shtick that this woman has accomplished anything in the last 5 years.
No, she hasn't. She married a prince. I suppose that was about it. But by the way, I'm going off piste a bit here, but I happened to watch a video. I think it was doing the rounds on Instagram. My wife showed it to me this morning. And it was Meghan years ago, presumably when she just got the gig on Suits or something. And do you remember when Craig Ferguson, the Scottish comedian guy, used to do the late night show? Was it on NBC? Anyway, so Meghan's the guest. And so he goes, oh, what's it like being on? Goes, yeah, it's great being on. I love being on Suits. It's great, fantastic. I get on great with a crew. You know, I mean, suddenly her accent seems to have changed since sort of marrying into royalty.
Well, I definitely see that evolution. This character she's trying to be. She's trying to be like like any woman that actually got there through hard work and legitimate, blood, sweat, and tears. She's there because of the man she married, and it was odd. She said that there's nothing taboo about talking about your financial independence or our independence overall, which I thought was a strange comment to make, or our independence overall.
That's really
talking so much about how it was almost like, so you're the breadwinner, because, it was an awkward exchange.
If she's the breadwinner, I don't know what bread she's bringing in, but she's not bringing any bread in from As Ever. That is for damn sure. It is quite clear that flogging jam for $10 a jar and cookie dough for $14 a jar and wine for $120 for 3 bottles, it's just not working. Hence, she goes to Paris in what looked for all the world a bid to break into the fashion industry, the fashion business. Then she goes to New York with Harry, where apparently this was over the past weekend, where they got these ridiculous Humanitarians of the Year awards from the Project Healthy Minds organisation. And I saw the pictures, I saw some of the footage, and Harry did look like he was sort of grinning through gritted teeth. And people who saw them in person said that he seemed to be, throughout the past weekend in New York, permanently furious. Something's going on here. A lot of people are saying, what the hell was she doing in Paris? Stories only now beginning to emerge that friends of hers, and indeed Harry, were absolutely gobsmacked shocked that she went to Paris, where she said she would never be able to go because that's where Harry's mother died. Paris for Harry is a no-no. Suddenly she turns up there. Then they go to New York, and by all accounts, Harry seemed to be permanently furious. And then you talk about her talking about independence and all that sort of thing. I'm afraid those marriage rumours are back in town, aren't they? They're back in play.
I mean, do they ever leave when you're in such a toxic relationship? I mean, I know I've said this before, but if you and I were talking about a princess that had been pulled away from her family, and she was no longer on good terms with her sister, and her, relationship with her dad's kind of iffy, and it's all because of a man, a man that, you know, it wasn't in there. I don't want to make it a class thing, but a man that really wasn't from their world and wouldn't understand the responsibility that goes into their jobs as royalty, and that doesn't respect the tradition, we would be saying that's emotional abuse. We would be worried for that princess. Like, Prince Harry is a grown man and makes his own decisions, and I do think that he's not innocent here.
Well, he's a grown man, you know, sort of, you know, ish, overgrown schoolboy, many people would say. He certainly doesn't behave in a very mature fashion for much of the time, it seems to me. But you were saying, sorry, I interrupted.
I think I was just saying that, you know, I think that I don't know how this can be a healthy relationship when you've alienated all of the friends and family around you. And you know, so much about what we've seen from Meghan Markle over the last 2 weeks is her being an active participant in the Prove It game, which is something that she told Jamie Kern-Lima that she no longer participated in. I mean, it's overwhelming how much she's trying to prove to the world right now, how much she's trying to silence her critics. But you know, to quote my friend Maureen Callahan, there's no there. When you listen to Meghan speak for 20 minutes, she's promised this audience that she's going to give you her strategy to build this brand. You didn't hear me mention any of that because there is no, she just says, so we hope to grow in Q4. You know, she at the very tail end, she gives a dismissive response that does not answer the question. How do you plan to grow in Q4? What are you specifically going to do? Where are you going to advertise? How are you going to determine what products you are really going to take off and what products aren't going to take off? There was no clear explanation of that, perhaps some excuses as to why that's been difficult for her, but no solution. And so I just think that she is so busy trying to stay relevant, and that's never been Prince Harry's priority. Prince Harry couldn't care less. He realizes he just has to get by.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's what Meghan Markle wants. Meghan Markle wants more, and she briefly talks about that ambition that she has.
Yeah, she wants to be a billionaire, come what may. And Harry, of course, for all his faults, and he's got many, he's not a publicity seeker because members of the royal family, it's all they've ever known. They know that they don't have to chase publicity. They don't particularly want to do it. It just follows them around because they're the British royals. Meghan, meanwhile, it's a full-time occupation, grabbing attention. We were just playing in the background while you were talking, Kinsey, the video or the Instagram post that she made in New York. And it's sort of very inappropriate. This was when she was supposed to be paying tribute to children who have mental health problems, children who've been affected by online harm. And there she is sort of, oh, look at us, look, ha, 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 isn't it fun? Oh, look, here's all my high-heeled shoes, here's my walk-in wardrobe. Oh, look, it's a pizza. She turned that trip into a sort of personal PR jaunt, didn't she? I mean, it's always all about her.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 44-year-old woman trying to be an influencer. And you had a platform where you could be so much more than that. Can you imagine Catherine, the Princess of Wales, going and talking to people who lost their children to suicide because of online bullying, turning around within the next few hours and uploading a video backstage of you cackling? I mean, there are people that are still mourning their dead babies on the other side of that door. And she's posting video backstage of her cackling. Also, while very specifically holding in her hand a lipstick tube that I'm unfamiliar with, which is why I'm leaning towards Meghan beauty products coming soon. But, you know, that whole video, it's just a display of how self-obsessed she is and how their priorities aren't right. And I don't think their priorities match.
And you know, we've read and we've heard that they've got financial problems. I mean, They live a fantastically expensive lifestyle with their huge mansion in Montecito. They mostly fly around in private jets, if not first class. They've got huge security staff to pay for, plus domestic staff, and so on and so forth, plus the staff of Archibald. So they have huge outgoings, and the word is not enough is coming in. And the Daily Mail at the weekend said that the word is also, in terms of the income coming in from As Ever, that the numbers are not good. Frankly, who's surprised by that? So Paris, and then the makeup. She's planning, as the Mail also said, are we getting set for Meghan Mark III, a new version? Has God given...
But you and I know, you and I both know we're on more like 33.
Yeah, 33. Has God given Meghan the grace to pivot yet again, this time into makeup or fashion, do you think?
I mean, again, I know I use this word quite often, but it's relentless. Like, she needs to remember how, do you remember this? Because I bet you were living over here when it happened, how D-list celebrities would get in trouble and they'd go away for a little while and then they'd come back and do Dr. Drew's show.
Yeah,
and Dr. Drew would sit down and do some therapy with them, and he'd talk them through their trauma. So you kind of had an idea as to why they behaved the way they did. But then after that, you know, you saw that vulnerability, you got a little bit of an explanation. It seemed like they were trying to better themselves. They could turn it around and be a Weight Watchers spokesperson the next day. Meghan needs to go away for a very long time. And but at the same time, will the world ever forgive her for the way she treated Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip towards the end of their lives? I don't believe so. This was such a poor decision on their part to go after the British royal family, knowing that the entire world was in love with Harry's grandmother and had an emotional connection to her. Meghan thought she was more important than the Queen, and there's no way in hell she ever was going to be.
No. God, no. Do you think that in terms of her business ventures that seem to be getting ever more desperate, it does seem to me she's leaving As Ever behind and she's going to try something new again. It's always based on her name, Meghan. You know, buy Meghan wine, buy Meghan dried flowers, buy Meghan jam. Maybe soon it'll be buy Meghan dresses, buy Meghan skirts, buy Meghan shirts, buy Meghan lipstick, buy Meghan makeup. I think the problem with all of these products is that word Meghan. You know, you can't develop a successful business based on the name of someone who's unpopular. The only way that a celebrity brand's going to work is if that celebrity is popular. She's not popular, is she?
Yeah, I remember when Victoria Beckham first started doing clothes, I wanted them because they were Victoria Beckham's, and I couldn't afford them, but I really wanted them because I wanted to look like... Yeah.
They are pretty expensive.
I really wanted them, but I couldn't afford them because it was couture. You know, yeah, I think that... But the problem is, when they asked her, and maybe she is this delusional, Kevin, and if so, what drugs are you on? What drugs are you and Harry doing today? Because I'd love a pop, okay? But the host specifically asks her about how she navigates negativity. And she wants to distract from this very legitimate question. And she was like, but there's so much support. There's so much support. I have so many fans. I have a community. And so, like, does that community really? I don't see it.
Does she?
I mean, you and I will release a podcast episode in 3 hours that has 30,000 streams at least. Okay. Meghan that video has been up on Fortune for 3 hours and it has 3,000 views.
Really?
You know, so
yeah.
When you look at the analytics, I don't know. She won't tell us how much she's selling with As Ever. I don't know. Now she does go in, you know, behind the scenes and invest in some other fashion companies. There was the purse company she invested in where we found out that these women in a foreign country were making like 25 to 50 cents an hour to make these $400 luxury handbags that Meghan endorsed. You know, she has a friend, Victoria Jackson, I believe her name is, that does makeup. So I know she invests in some of these types of companies already. Clever Coffee, she invested in them. So maybe she is aware that maybe her name isn't the way to go, and that's why she invests behind the scenes in some of these other businesses. But yeah, I don't know what the solution is, because I'm not going to buy something with Meghan Markle's name on it. In fact, I'll go out of my way not to, because I'm not going to reward somebody that was so hateful towards Queen Elizabeth and Prince William and his wife.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, Kinsey. I think that most people's reaction to a Meghan product would be A, they just couldn't care less, therefore why pay over the odds just for her name, or B, they're actively repelled by her name. They're actively put off by the Meghan name. I think that is the big problem with her. She wants to make $1 billion, but she better start trying to come up with a way of making a lot of money that doesn't involve her name, because her name, I think, is toxic. I think it's not commercial. That's why As Ever's gone wrong. That's why with Meghan, with Love Meghan on Netflix hasn't worked out, and so on and so forth. And now,
and that's why the creative director of Balenciaga went out of his way to create distance between himself and Meghan when he told the Cut magazine she invited herself.
Yeah, to Paris. She didn't. She just decided to go. And again, we talked about this the other day, but leave this hanging in the air. I mean, what on earth did she think she was doing in Paris? The only possible conclusion, given that we know, as you said, she went out of her way to invite herself to go, is she saw that she could get some big headlines because it's Meghan in the town where Harry's mother died. That's what that was about. And if that is the truth, you know, Meghan, come on, pull yourself together, that you can't go around doing this. It's not right. It's just not right. Kinsey, how fantastic. It's always great. I love our conversations. Great to talk to you. We'll talk again on Thursday. Kinsey Schofield, host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered there. Let's go to break now. And when we come back, well, it's your show from now on. It is your calls, your WhatsApp voice notes and your messages. So stay tuned for that.
I think that you can't legislate against stupidity, can you? And I think that these marches, which have been an absolute abhorrence for the people of the capital city of London, should have been stopped at the outset. And they certainly should be stopped now that there's nothing left to protest over. As you said earlier, there's a whole shopping list of things that they want, but they've all been settled, at least for the moment. There is peace, there is a ceasefire, the prisoners have been released. Yep. And so what are they protesting about?
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I've got a few... somebody's talking about the Australian missing kid, that little poor kid, Gus Lamont. It's always family feuds. I think the transgender grandmother may have had something to do with it. I think that might be unfair. I mean, you know, just because someone is a transgender, it's a lot. I mean, far be it for me to comment on something like this, but it's the last place in the world where you expect some grandmother to be, you know, former bloke or a bloke. Transgender grandmother. It is a strange element to that story. Somebody else saying, this is Pamela in London, saying, yeah, great segment on the missing child. So interesting, all those details. Who knows? As Samara said, it could be the dingo ate my baby scenario. The thing about that, Pamela, and by the way, I didn't have a chance to thank my producer, Samara Gill, for all the work she did on that story. So well done, Samara. She's Australian, so we thought she could bring kind of... Thing is, we wanted to get someone live from Australia, but because of the time difference, it would be like 5 in the morning for them. So we thought we'd just do it live here with an Australian. But she looked into the story and found out some very interesting things. I don't know about the dingo ate my baby. I mean, because they think they have wild pigs there as well. It's a sheep farm, by the way. They have wild pigs there and they consume flesh, I guess. So they wonder about that as well. But they sort of feel that if it was a dingo or pigs or whatever, then there will be some kind of sign somewhere not far from the farm, from the sheep farm, from the ranch. And nothing except for that tantalising footprint, little shoe print, 500 yards away. Think about that. Think about that. What was he doing 500 yards away? Extraordinary, extraordinary. One footprint. Why only one footprint? Imagine, imagine. Kids being carried, maybe, just gets a 1 foot down. See what I'm saying? So many potential theories here. Anyway, let's go to the phones. Let's talk to Mark in London. Hello, Mark.
Hello, mate. How you doing?
I'm all right. What would you like to say, mate?
Right. This one is going back to Starmer recognising Palestine.
Yeah, go on, mate.
Last night, my wife, we sat down and we watched a film, a documentary. I don't know if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, it's a must-watch. Okay. And it's called The Killing Roads.
The Killing Roads?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it about Palestine or something, or what is it about?
Basically, it's a complete sort of footage of them when they started attacking Jewish and Israelis on the 7th of October.
Oh, the October the 7th attack by Hamas. Okay, yeah.
You've got to have a stomach to be able to watch it, but it basically, you see exactly what they've done. And it wasn't just Hamas. It was also Palestinian civilians involved.
That's what this documentary says, right?
But you see the lot.
I mean, I haven't seen it, Mark, and Probably a lot of Palestinians would say, well, it was Hamas warriors, not ordinary Palestinians. But, I mean, I don't know. I'm just sort of saying I hadn't heard that element before.
Documentary made by, I think it's a Canadian Jewish director.
Right.
And it's got the survivors on there talking about it, what happened. It's quite horrific, but it's something that, personally, I would have this shown in all secondary schools so that people can see the horrors. Just like the Holocaust being learned about in schools.
So, given, Mark, I mean, you know, I've seen some of the sort of explicit footage of what happened, the sort of stuff that didn't go public, and do you have a look at some of it, and it, like it did to you, it changes the way you feel about the whole situation. But now you've seen that documentary, what do you think about Keir Starmer recognising Palestine?
Well, if I blatantly told you, I probably would never be allowed on this.
Okay, we'll keep it clean. But I mean, the point is that critics, of course, including me, say, quite justifiably in my view, that when Keir Starmer recognised Palestine, he rewarded Hamas for their atrocity, for their awful terrorism, for murdering, raping, killing babies. That's what he did. He rewarded Hamas. He gave them what they wanted, and they said so. They said they were thrilled, and they said that that this meant that the recognition by Britain of Palestine meant that they had won the war. That it was
there's only one thing, Kev, that Starmer, or should that be Starling, could actually do worse, and that is all our British troops were to change the British flag to a Hamas flag.
Yeah, I mean...
He's sailed Britain down the Swanee, he really has. He's made England a laughing stock, and as for that, oh yes, Mr. President, I'll come up and speak, and the President goes, I don't think so.
Don't think so. It was so embarrassing, wasn't it? So embarrassing.
I didn't feel sorry for him.
I mean, he just...
I actually could have applauded.
We let that one go. Okay. Okay, well, it's past the family viewing watershed. You can hear worse on television.
Yeah, he's an absolute Kevin.
All right, let's not overdo it. Let's not overdo it. But I know what you mean. But yesterday I thought it was humiliating. I thought it was embarrassing for this country. He did look like a little, as you quite accurately described him. I can't say that word, but I'm with you, Mark. Good call, mate. Good call. I'll have a look out for that documentary, The Killing Roads, yeah? Mark in London there. Interesting. A couple more messages I've had here. Oh yeah, somebody said it's referencing my favourite film, one of my favourite ever films. Someone talking about the Australian situation, that poor little kid Gus Lamont going missing. Sounds like another picnic at Hanging Rock scenario, Kevin, says Paul. Now, that's one of my favourite ever films. I love that film. Another story of people who went missing in really mysterious circumstances in Australia's outback. And there's something haunting about the Australian outback. Lots of things happen there. Remember the dingo story and so on and so forth. And here we have another haunting story from Australia's outback that we don't revel in because a poor little boy has gone missing. But what the hell happened to him? Where's he gone? How did he vanish like that? I mean, you think if he was eaten by... There are creatures there who'll eat flesh, you know, dingoes, there's these wild pigs. If that was the case, you'd think you'd be some clue somewhere. There'd be clothes, wouldn't there, or something. This search is massive, and it's not like you can't see the ground. You can. So no sign of him whatsoever except that one shoe print 500 yards away. Absolutely tantalising clue. As I say, these mysteries, it's an intriguing mystery, but that is the wrong way to put it. because a little boy has gone missing and a family is in torment. But it's a mystery to beat all mysteries. What on earth happened to that poor little kid? 18 miles from the nearest road, 50 miles from the nearest town. It wasn't a passing kidnapper. There's no roads. Extraordinary, extraordinary. Why don't we go to break? When we come back, we'll talk to Kevin in Wales. So stick around, folks.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. A bit of kind of breaking news, I suppose. Charlie Kirk, it would have been his birthday today, of course, assassinated about a month ago in Utah. A Conservative campaigner, friend of Donald Trump. That man of amazing energy, back in Washington, is currently awarding the posthumous American Medal of Freedom to Charlie Kirk. He's incredible, Trump. He was back in Washington this morning, hosting the president of Argentina yesterday. Well, we know what he was doing yesterday, Sharm el-Sheikh. Day before that, Israel. He never stops. He's 79 years old. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he does it. He's got the most amazing energy. He really, really has. And that energy and a sort of force. He's a force of nature, isn't he? And he's forced that peace through. And all these people who hate him, they can't help but concede. He's achieved something incredible through the sheer power and force of his extraordinary, unique, sometimes irritating personality. I mean, he's an egomaniac, but he's very entertaining. And he's proving to be a president of remarkable achievements. Remarkable. He carries on like this, he's going to go down as one of the great presidents of all time. Seriously, I mean that. It would have been Charlie Kirk's 32nd birthday today. Our thoughts go to his poor family, Erica, his heartbroken wife, and his kids. And we remember Charlie. So he's the posthumous Medal of Freedom, very well deserved. Right, let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to Kevin in Wales. Hello, Kevin.
Hi, how's it going?
All right, what would you like to say?
Well, there's many things, actually. We're on about immigrants, and I totally agree with you. We could do with a Donald Trump, 100%.
Yeah, sure. He'd sort out our migrant crisis, wouldn't he?
Well,
He sorted America's migrant crisis overnight.
He would sort out a lot more than that. Trust me, he would.
Yeah, I think you're right.
My story might go on a bit. I've worked all my life. I know I have. Like, since I was 14, I was a butcher.
You know you've worked all your life.
Yeah, mate. Okay. You know,
you've worked hard all your life. Yep.
Bang, bang, yeah, no.
Go on.
Anyway, this is a council and the government was going to. I rented private about just over 2 years. No, I rented private. I moved out of property 2 years ago, but I rented there for 8 years.
Right.
Rich guy, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I went to the council. I'm asthmatic, you know. I have, like, health problems, bang.
Yeah.
Anyway, me and the landlord, tit for tat, had an argument, bang. I said, I'm going to report you. I went to our local council. And then I said, the environmental health, they come round. Right, there's mold, there's damp, bang, we're going to move you. Okay. Where you going to move me to? We got nowhere. Excuse me? You got nowhere. Have you got friends you can stay with? Well, not really.
This is you're in Wales, Kev, yeah?
This is, mate, mid-Wales, Shropshire.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
So the council couldn't find you anywhere?
Well, it wasn't just anywhere. So I slept with a few friends. I did have a few good friends who looked after me. My mum, bless her, still with us. Like, she only had a one-bedroom place. So, I slept in a mate's caravan, like the around, kept on the council, kept on and on and on every day. I working as well.
So, Kevin, I can't carry on. Where are we heading with this? What's the...
Okay, I'm going to get
the denouement of this anecdote.
I will get to it, trust me. Anyway, I should be a politician. Anyway,
but I can't let you just carry on and on and on. You've got to get to the point.
All right. Okay, I'm going to get to a point very shortly. Okay, I'm going to cut
get to the point now.
Okay, mate, I'll get to the point now. Trust me. In the end, they sorted me out a one-bedroom place during that. But during that time with the council, right, I was left stuck. All of a sudden, I noticed properties that were empty. So I was telling the council, look, that's empty, it's empty.
Yeah.
Then I noticed one, two, lovely town in Wales, real quiet. Then more come in. I thought, so I got all to the council, said, hold on, how come that's free now and that's good? Right. All of a sudden, they shut me up. You take this now kind of thing, or you don't. Fair enough. Beggars can't be choosers.
So you took this one-bedroom flat, and what were these other places? Don't tell me they were for migrants.
Correct, and the hotel they offered me, my friend, they said, right, you can stay in a hotel, okay, but because you work, you have to pay for it. I said, excuse me. So I worked out, allocated, that the money I earned working a day would just cover my hotel room a night.
Right.
And this is straight up, honestly, I'm like, so I went back to them and said, so I earn that, and I have to travel to work. And then, they don't care. Anyway, well, this is a good story. I got good friends. We travel away from uni friends. I haven't seen him for a while. And they said, Kev, I'll come and see you. We booked a hotel in Shropshire.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, okay, mate, nice one. Lovely to see you. 2 guys, 2 ladies, great. All of a sudden, he popped down. We had one lights out, great. Yeah, okay, we'll do this tomorrow. We'll do that tomorrow. I'll take you to the castle. Would be great. All right.
The trip was cancelled, right?
Yeah.
Because the hotel...
Yes, correct. You got
the
it.
hotel had asylum seekers, yeah?
Well, they went down, they had breakfast, and as they were walking past, they went to reception, and the receptionist said to them, I'm sorry for any inconvenience. We'll refund you what you paid for, but due to unfortunate circumstances, we have to close the hotel. Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, mate. So, as my friends went, they went back and said, we'll have to cancel. Let's cancel it. They got work. I got work. Understandable. We booked time off. Very, very strange. Anyway, yeah, I do have friends near that place. And then next thing I know...
It's an asylum seeker hotel. So, overnight, it became an asylum seeker hotel, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, well, this is a story that goes on all over the country, Kevin. Listen, I've got to move on, but thanks for telling us your story and your family's story. Thank you. But I think it's a story of our time. Kevin in Wales there. By the way, Harry Cole Saves the West is after the 10 o'clock news, our news show from Washington. So stay tuned for that. And then at 11 p.m, Petri Hoskin takes over the helm of the Good Ship Talk, and she'll take you through to the small hours to 1 a.m. So much still to come. Right, I've been looking forward to this. She's been on the... she phoned us many hours ago, but she says she's got a song for me. So this is Jane in Edinburgh. Hi, Jane.
Hi.
And you got a song for me?
I certainly do have.
Well, off you go then.
This is for Three Tier Kier.
Three Tier Kier, I like the name. Go on.
Donald the elephant packed his trunk and said goodbye to the circus. Off he went with a trumpety trump, 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 trump.
Is that it? Have you got...
Yes, that's it.
I thought you were going to have Keir Starmer in it. But that was a very nice song. Very nice song.
It's for Keir Starmer to hear.
Yeah. What did you think? What do you think of it, Jane? Yesterday at Sharm El Sheikh, it was excruciating, wasn't it? Watching Keir Starmer.
Absolutely, it was absolutely excruciating. I have terminal lung cancer, and I cannot wait. I hope I live long enough to see Keir Starmer and the whole of the Labour Party out of government.
Tell you what, Jane. I'll tell you what, Jane. That is your inspiration to just keep on keeping on. It's worth staying alive to witness the downfall of this dreadful.
I'd also like to say, God bless all the hostages that were released.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Amazing scenes yesterday. But as I say, Jane, if that's not an inspiration to stay alive, I don't know what is. To see the downfall of this dreadful government. How do you think about that?
Thank you, Kevin.
All right, lovely song, Jane. Thank you very much for calling. As I say, Harry, that's Jane in Edinburgh with a song. Was it Donald the Elephant went? Oh, well, I can't remember what it was. Anyway, nice song though. And Harry Cole Saves the West in just a few minutes. We're going to go to break soon. We will have some adverts and then the news and then Harry Cole. Let's read a couple of messages. I don't know what this one is. God knows what it's going to say, so who knows where we'll go with this. This is Max in Somerset. There was a podcast a few weeks ago of Alistair Campbell and Rory Stewart. God, I know what that's called. The rest is politics. And Campbell said he could see a similar situation in the way things are now and the rise of fascism in Germany before the last World War. I believe that was a deliberate ploy to incite fear and hatred of Nigel Farage and anyone to the right of their leftist views. This fascist label is now being copied by many others in the left and will increase as they fear losing voters. I'm glad I read that out. That's Max in Somerset. Very, very good point. Yeah, I'm sick of it. Alice, I can see similarities between the rise of fascism. What they mean is that reform are akin to the Nazis during 1930s Germany on Hitler's rise and rise. You know, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. It's all it is. It's a sort of cheapo political way of trying to demonise their opponents, as in Reform, because Reform are doing so well. Nathan from Basingstoke has been in touch. Remember last week we did that story about COP30 in Brazil, where Ed Miliband and his 450 or so British delegates are going to destroy the environment, flying over there first in business class, staying in big hotels, eating meals all over the place. Nathan says, why are the pointless COP conferences done online? Why aren't they done online like everything else these days? What you mean, why can't they have Zoom? exactly right. I mean, why don't they do it by Zoom? Well, because then they don't get to fly first class over there. They don't get to drive around in flash limousines. They don't get to stay in flash hotels. They don't get to eat flash meals at flash restaurants and all talk to each other about how wonderful they are and what a great job they're doing for the environment. They are a bunch of dreadful hypocrites. To hell with all of them. We'll be bringing you more and more on COP30. I think it's only in a couple of weeks. All the private jets, no doubt, gearing up to fly into, it's called Bamur, isn't it? Belém, I think. Belém. It's a city in the north of Brazil. Be there or be square. That's it for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, 7 p.m. Political Asylum, right here on Talk. Harry
I think that you can't legislate against stupidity, can you? And I think that these marches, which have been an absolute abhorrence for the people of the capital city of London, should have been stopped at the outset, and they certainly should be stopped now that there's nothing left to protest over. As you said earlier, there's a whole shopping list of things that they want, but they've all been settled, at least for the moment. There is peace, there is a ceasefire, the prisoners have been